Yeah, just making sure all my levels are set. I hope I hope it's not too much of a distraction because they're doing construction right across the street, and they hadn't started all day till right before to start recording, and they start like nailing away, putting the roofing stuff on. So I tried to
Yeah.
dampen the sound as much as I can. So hopefully it doesn't pick up too much on your end. But
Oh, okay. Hopefully we'll be all right.
yeah, I don't think it'll be too bad. It's kind of sporadic too. So
Oh, okay. All right. So doing the top 19 of 2019, it was actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
mhm.
Sadly, I think I told you I only had, well, I was waiting to go see Uncut Gems and The Rise of Skywalker before I made a definitive list. But even before those two, I think I only had like 23 movies, which is kind of sad because I feel like I saw a lot of movies this year, but apparently not a lot of them were my favorites.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of stuff. I thought it was actually a really good year for movies. I
Mm.
had like almost the opposite problem where if I thought we were doing a top 10, I thought, oh man, I'm leaving a lot of good movies off this list. So when you told me it was top 19, I was like, oh cool, I've got like seven honorable mentions. Let me just find two more movies and I can add those to the list. So
Oh, there
it
you
worked
go.
out for me because I was like, oh thank God, because I have so many movies to talk about. So
And I think I did a spoiler alert in the previous episode. I said I was waiting for Uncut Gems and Rise of Skywalker, and I'm gonna spoil my list somewhat right now and say Rise of Skywalker is not on my top 19 at all.
not
So,
mine either. So
all right, well that definitely says something about it. So, uh, all right, well, I guess should we kick this off?
yeah, if you want to kick this off with your 19, we'll go.
All right. So, my number 19, I kind of struggled if it was going to be one of the ones kicked off or not, which may or may not disappoint you, is Midsummer.
Oh, okay. All right. That is
Um,
higher on my list. So,
yeah, I figured. It it to me was effectively creepy. It was very well made all around. Performances, production, just everything about it was top notch. It just I don't know. I feel like there wasn't as many shocks or twists and turns as I was expecting. It was
mhm.
a pretty straightforward horror movie, but of the upper echelon, that's for sure. Because we already know Ari Aster is just amazing at what he does. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that was it. I was just a little let down, but nonetheless, the quality overall was definitely top notch.
Yeah. I mean, it's super well made. It does kind of lay it on the table. I feel like it's very straightforward. You almost can tell where it's going, like from the beginning. It kind of like lays it out with some hints and things in the background, pretty obviously where it's going.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I could see you disappointed in that point, or disappointed in that respect on that one. So it was funny. I liked it. I saw it twice. I saw the director's cut. We talked about this a lot in the horror episode we did a couple months ago. So I won't talk about
Hmm.
it too much, but so I just really liked it. The director's cut I thought made it even better for me. It just adds a little more like depth to the characters. There's just kind of some more conversations to flesh things out, and just I don't know. It looks like the vibe of the whole thing and the look, and I mean, it's just kind of crazy. It's funny because I wish it got a little crazier, and it gets pretty crazy. But I
Yeah,
think kind of what you said, it's like you kind of know where it's going, and I just wanted to get a little. I don't know. I just wanted to go like another level, but it's still really good. And like I said, it's higher on my list, so I'll mention that later. The place it's at, but yeah, I did like it a lot. So
I think the best part of it to me was probably the first like 10 minutes. The 10 minutes was terrifying, which
oh yeah,
I mean it's not really a spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen it, but I mean the first 10 minutes involves the suicide of a character and just the filming of the suicide, and when you see the suicide is just oh my god, like it's not necessarily graphic per se. It's very hard
it's
hitting.
disturbing.
It's
Yeah,
yeah.
the first 10 minutes is like a really well made short film.
Oh god, no
Like
kidding.
with
Like it could have ended on that final shot of the person, and I would have been like, "Holy shit, that was amazing."
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. Like I was thinking about this with Midsummer too. It came out in the middle of the summer, right
Mm-hmm.
the same weekend as Spider-Man. So a movie that crazy
Oh
and that weird, like that we got in theaters playing next to Spider-Man. I just like really
yeah,
appreciate that kind of thing because that happens less and less these days. Although, like I said, this year I thought was really good for movies overall, but it was just kind of crazy. I thought like, okay, Spider-Man's right there, Midsummer's there. They couldn't be more
yeah, no
different.
kidding.
So
There was there
yeah.
was kind of going full circle back to our first episode, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about Rob Zombie movies, and he was saying that after seeing Three from Hell, he realized he's not a Rob Zombie fan in terms of his movies. He's like, I love his music. I love listening to him in interviews. Just I don't think I'm a fan of his movies. He said, but I do appreciate that he is making the product he wants to make. It's really weird, and it's getting put in theaters, which is something to behold on its own.
Yeah,
So that's
he's got a
that's a
cult
good
following.
point.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
funny enough, as much as I went on about Rob Zombie, I feel like in our horror episode, Three from Hell did not make my list. Although I did like it, it just is not in my top 19 anywhere. But um, yeah, I don't know. It's this. I lost my train of thought. You could go. So,
No, I think that was it. Yeah.
so
So I think we're on to your
my
number
19. Okay,
19.
the last spot with these lists is always hard if it's a top 10 or top whatever because there's so
Yeah.
many movies. You're like, oh, is this going to get bumped for this? I landed. I think because I saw it on TV recently. With my 19 is Shazam.
I still haven't seen it. I
Man,
forgot that even came out this
I know.
year.
I had to think. I was like, oh my god, that was earlier this year because it came out March or April, like maybe
Hmm.
early April, and it kind of. I mean, it did well. I think if I remember right, it did very well. People liked it. It was a lot of fun, and then when I saw it on TV, I hadn't seen it in the theater, and I was like, this was a fun movie. And I
Yeah.
kind of want more like just like fun, kind of like light superhero movies because they get kind of heavy, especially DC had a real problem with that for a long time with
Yeah.
things being way too heavy and dark and just um, not very fun. But Shazam is super fun. Played great when I saw it in the theater. Yeah, Zachary Levi's really good. I like the show Chuck. I don't know if you ever watched Chuck back in the day.
It's been
So
a long time.
yeah, it was a very like cult show. It did a few seasons, and he hasn't done much for a while. And then he popped back in this, and I was like, well, good for him because yeah, I mean, he seems like a nice guy, and I liked him in this. And I mean, the whole thing is just like fun, and it's fun because it's directed by David F. Sandberg, who was a big horror director, um,
Oh wow.
and he did this. And there's one great kind of horror scene in the middle of all this like fun, flashy pop superhero movie that I thought was like,
Hmm.
oh, there's the horror coming out of that guy.
Yeah.
So it's just
Huh.
a really fun, well made superhero movie, and yeah, it's my 19. So
I've been meaning to get to it. It just I don't know something. It's sitting there on HBO, and I don't know. I've never gotten around to it, but I feel like I probably will here pretty soon, just because yeah, like you said, I've heard it's really fun, and DC kind of found a good balance between the dark and the humor and all that. Which, judging from the trailers, it looked pretty light fare to me.
yeah, I feel like DC's finally getting their footing back underneath them. Like they finally like recovered after trying to launch their whole universe to catch up with Marvel. And now they've kind of like with Aquaman was a big hit, Wonder Woman, Shazam. It's like I feel like they're going in a better direction, which is good because I've never been one of those like, oh, are you Marvel or DC? I've always liked both since I was a little kid, so I kind of want them both to do well. So
Yeah,
I hope they're going to keep going in that direction. So yeah, my 19 was Shazam. So
yeah, I'm definitely excited for Wonder Woman 84. It looks really good.
that does look really good. Yeah.
All right, my number 18. I think I talked a little bit about this in my previous episode, but it's a movie it's a horror movie, but it was definitely unexpected how much fun it was, and that is Crawl.
Oh, okay. Crawl was one of those ones that was bordering, could have been my 19, didn't make the cut. But yeah, I liked Crawl a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like it's just yeah, that was it. It's I think I said in the previous one, just kind of what movie you're going into, turn off your brain, and you're gonna have a lot of fun when you watch it, and I did. There was another podcast I listened to where they were counting down their top horror movies, and they came across this one, and she goes, it was funny. She goes, set logic aside, and it's gonna be a fun ride. She goes, because this isn't a spoiler. You see it a lot in the trailers about the her kind of trapping one of the gators in the shower, and she was like, she goes, I don't believe for 1 second that gator can stay trapped in that shower, but and yet the main character winds up like ripping through the floorboards with their bare hands at one point, like it's nothing, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of inconsistency with what they can and cannot do, what the alligators can do. It's a little
Yeah,
strange.
no kidding.
But it's a
So
very fun movie. It's a straightforward creature feature, just animal attack movie. That's all it is. Not trying to be anything else. It's like one of the best versions you could have a movie like that. You know what I mean? It's you almost couldn't do it better than that. It's as good as it could be. I feel like. And funny enough, I think Crawl is in Quentin Tarantino's top 3 of the year. from
Yeah,
what I saw so far. So I mean, it's got its fans. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, definitely. Fun is the most appropriate word to describe it, I think. Which it's a horror movie. It should be scary, which it has scary moments, but I mean it's a creature feature. Like it's
yeah,
those aren't necessarily the scariest movies.
like
So
it's like I went in knowing what I was, expecting, and I got exactly what I expected. It gave me exactly what I wanted from a
yeah, exactly.
alligator attack movie and a hurricane. It's like so
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
fun concept too.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the trailer and was like, that seems like it'd be very stupid, but it is a fun concept. Like in the wrong
Yeah,
hands, it could have been terrible. So
yeah. Initially, like when I saw the trailer, I was like, we're really doing something like this, and then I saw it was who it was directed by. I know it's Alexander. I'm not sure if you say his last name,
I
Aja
think it's
or what.
Aja. Yeah,
Is it Aja? Okay. But I mean, he did High Tension, which is one of my favorite horror movies. It's a very brutal horror movie.
yeah.
He did the Hills Have Eyes remake. He's had some hit and misses. I know he did the Piranha first one. I don't know if he did the second one.
I can't remember if he did both. I know he did the first one. I saw that for the first time like last year, and it was just stupid, like an '80s horror movie, like just a bunch of nudity and gore, and just like
Yeah,
it was kind of ridiculous. But he's an underrated director, especially for I mean in the horror genre, because he's been doing this for a while, and he usually does a pretty good job. He has had some things that didn't work, but yeah, he usually is pretty solid. So
yeah. That's what kind of turned me around. I was like, okay, this looks kind of looks a little hokey. But then I saw who was directed by it, and was like, oh, maybe this will be pretty good. And here we are, top 19.
yeah, okay. So your 18 was Crawl, and my
Hmm.
18, I suspect, will be maybe a lot higher on your list. It Chapter Two.
Yeah, it's pretty further up there.
Is it high enough? Do you want to hold off talking about it, or do you want to talk about it a little bit now?
Oh no, we can talk about it now.
Okay.
It's pretty far up there. So,
Um,
and I mean, Ash and I dedicated a whole 2 hour review to it.
yeah.
So
So we won't talk about it too much, and I think you mentioned a little bit on your best of episode with Ash that I just listened to. Um, and you guys talked about it at length already. So I mean, it's funny because I liked it less when I first saw it, but it's one of those movies that I've thought about a lot since I saw it, and I like it more and more because it's pretty weird. Like I started off being
mm-hmm.
put off by like how kind of out there the whole thing is, and I just feel like, and I know you're way more of a Stephen King expert than I am, so I just feel like between the book and the miniseries and now this, I feel like that second part, the adult story, just doesn't work as well as the kid part.
No, and I feel like in any medium, the book or the miniseries, it's always the less of the two. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like it's just never, gonna quite match that first part with the kids. But I just Bill Hader was so good in that movie. Like that's one of the
Yeah.
performances of the whole year. He just is like amazing. And I mean, I like most of the whole cast. I can't think of anybody I didn't like in the main cast of the adults. I was so excited when they announced all those people. I was like, okay, good, good, good. Yeah, it's like check mark, everybody's good. It's just this is a hard movie to kind of wrap your head around because it's almost 3 hours long. It's
Yeah.
just got a lot going on. It's I don't know. It's strange. I can't. My feelings about it are still kind of complicated. I think I'll like it more as time goes on. Um, but at the first, I was kind of like, "Huh, I'm not sure if that's what I wanted." But I think I just loved the first one with the kids so much that
Yeah,
the
definitely.
expectations were so high. It was hard to live up to that too. So I think with some distance, I'll like it even more. But it's definitely. I mean, it's a good movie. I appreciate big swings at weird movies, and it's definitely those two things. So
Yeah, it's funny because my brother texted me the other day and asked if I've ever read the book, and I told him I read it twice. To which he freaked out about it. He goes, "Isn't that book like 15,000 pages?" But he goes, "Is the book as weird as this movie is?" I was like, in its own way, yeah. I said the movie definitely does get pretty weird, which again I do appreciate. Like you said, it's a big budget studio movie, and they allowed them to get that weird in it.
mhm.
It could have been a lot weirder, also, but like I said, for a big budget blockbuster that it was supposed to be, it got pretty weird.
Definitely,
But
yeah.
yeah, all the praises for Bill Hader, and you know what the I think that's what it benefited from the most was the adult casting. It's you had to get that casting down right, otherwise it was never going to work. I feel.
Yeah, then it had no chance. So I mean, but I think I'd like to go back
Yeah,
and spend time with those characters still. I still love those characters and like, um, yeah, I just I mean, I think people have a low tolerance for movies that are almost 3 hours long. I think there was a couple other things that I heard there was a lot this year between like The Irishman and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Avengers. People talking about the running time. It's like, oh my god, it's 3 hours long. People I think either would be excited about, or they're like, a lot of people I think casual audiences are like, oh, 3 hours. It's like I can't sit through that. So
Yeah, there's certain things that I feel. I mean, I don't have a problem with long movies, but there's also movies I feel definitely don't need to be that long. There was one of my honorable mentions that I'll talk about now just for that particular reason was Long Shot with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. Um, Very funny movie. It was a really good movie, but I think it was like 135 minutes, and I was like, they could have easily cut 20 minutes out, or narrowed it down to even 100 minutes, and it still would have been um, really good. So I mean, there's certain movies that I feel like don't need to be that long, but something like I feel like It Chapter Two needed to be that long. Endgame definitely needed to be
oh
3 hours.
absolutely.
So
When I saw that runtime, I was like, okay, that makes sense. It could probably be 4 hours, and it's like it's a lot to cover.
yeah,
But yeah, I just think that it just there was a lot of things with It Chapter Two I think that hurted it because I think it did well financially, but I think critically and people's opinion kind of were like, they kind of like shoulder shrugged. I think just it being that long, it having to live up to It Chapter One, which I think people just like loved, like just people were so into that that it kind of course, was going to disappoint people because like what chance did it have? So, and if that
yeah, no
second part of the
kidding.
story is like kind of historically never as strong as the first part, then they were kind of up against the wall, and I kind of thought they did about as good as you could do. So
Yeah,
for
definitely.
that, so
Yeah. All right, so moving on to my number 17 is another horror movie that to me was actually it had its scary moments and was very fun as well, and that was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
oh yeah, did not make my list, but would be on honorable mentions. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean the nostalgia factor alone was really good. Just I like that Guillermo del Toro was on board and did the script, and he put his own little twist on it because you got the same players from the book, but he took the stories in different directions, which is which I trust him with it, and I feel like he did a good job with it, and just overall it was fun. It had a couple good scary moments, and yeah, it was just that was definitely it's probably going to become a mainstay for Halloween time for me anyway.
it does definitely have that nice like fall Halloween feel. I'll give it that for sure. It
Yeah,
a couple things like with that one, I just kind of wish it'd been like a straight up anthology with separate stories where it was
yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting it to be. It's what it looked like from the trailers.
yeah, and that's how they kind of pushed it. And then I don't know why I feel like people are scared to make horror anthologies, like but like for big budget studio movies, because I mean things like Creepshow back in the day and like Tales from the Dark Side were just straight up like tell you three or four or five separate stories, and like you don't see that much anymore. I mean, you kind of see them on like uh, VOD, Blu-ray, but they usually don't get like into theaters. And I feel like they were kind of we had to tie it together with these characters, and we can't do an anthology. Um, I don't know. That made it kind of weird for me, but and I didn't really like. It's like a negative necessarily, but I thought it was kind of strange with the whole like Vietnam parallels they put in there.
Mm,
That
yeah.
kind of was like every time they did that, I was like, huh, okay, well, it's just like a lot of little strange touches, but and it was surprisingly dark for
Yeah, it
what
was.
I thought. I was like, oh, I thought they were going to go for like more of a kid audience than this, but I kind of appreciated that. So yeah, there were just some things that were kind of took it down for me, but I still overall I did enjoy that one. So
Yeah, I think they knew that they most likely weren't going to do an R-rated version, so they knew they were going to have to tone it down to PG-13. And I feel like at that point they were like, well, if it's going to be PG-13, let's not make it specifically for little kids. Let's try to go as scary as we can in the confines that we had.
yeah, yeah, that definitely has that feel like kind of like, well, we got to make it PG-13. Let's not get too crazy, but let's kind of push it, see what we can get away with. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it has that one segment did kind of freak me out. I can't remember. It's kind of like he's in the hospital, I want to say, and there's the red light, and he's trying to get away from.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. The something lady. I can't
oh
remember.
yeah, just the lady, not the lady in white. Oh man,
Yeah, that's what I was leaning towards too.
yeah, but it's like how he keeps trying to run. It's getting closer, and then the hallways keep flipping around on him, and it's like Okay, that thing would be terrifying. It's coming at me in a hallway.
Yeah, no kidding. That was a very claustrophobic scene, that's for sure.
Yeah, so there's definitely some great scare stuff in there. And I probably will rewatch it Halloween, October, that time period, and probably like it even more. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that was your 17. So my 17
Hmm.
is A Marriage Story.
Still haven't seen that.
Ah. And it's on Netflix. It's,
I know.
I know. It's funny because I didn't hear much about it before it came out, and then it just kind of was there, and I feel like it was like a lazy Saturday morning, and for some reason I just threw it on, which and I'm not usually into kind of dramas like that. I wasn't really even sure what I was walking into, and
Hmm.
it's this very it's Noah Baumbach, and it's this very it starts off okay. Like I don't know the basic premise of Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. They're a married couple. They decided to get a divorce, and at first starts off very like amicable, like everything's fine,
Hmm.
and then it gets more and more contentious as it goes along because they live in New York. Scarlett Johansson goes back to LA. They have a son. That's what makes it so kind of fight. They start fighting because of the kid in custody, and it just starts to swirl down into this worse and worse mess, and you're watching them just kind of fall apart. And it's very heavy. I was like, this was not like a Saturday morning fun watch, but
Yeah.
Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson are so good in that movie. There's a scene where they have a big fight in Adam Driver's apartment, and it's just like I don't know if it's like one unbroken take, but it seems like it goes on for like a few minutes, just kind of one take, and they're just going back and forth arguing, and it just keeps ramping up, and they're just saying worse and worse things to each other, and you're like, oh no,
I
stop! It's like you guys have to
yeah,
keep
I
this.
think I think I saw that on there's a Facebook page I really like called Screenplayed, and they play a scene from a movie, and then underneath it has the script kind of rolling, and I think they showed that scene. Are they kind of like in their living room area?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch that scene because I was just I didn't intend on it, but I wound up getting stuck, and I feel like that's a good thing.
No, it is. It
Even though it's
really draws you in. Like
yeah.
it's a little over 2 hours. It really flew by. I thought I was really invested in the whole thing. Like, and it's good because Noah Baumbach really kind of feels like he's trying to not pit you against one or the other. Kind of like he's trying to play it right down the middle. It's not like it's like, oh, it's this person's fault or that person's fault. It's kind of like they
Mm,
both make mistakes. I would say Adam Driver makes probably a few more mistakes, but you still kind of feel bad
mm,
for him. Um, and then there's some really good supporting people. Alan Alda shows up as a lawyer, and then like Ray Liotta and Laura Dern show up as Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson's lawyers, who are like real like sharks, like they're LA divorce lawyers, and they're the ones that kind of make it get really contentious because they're
mm.
like, well, you should ask for this, and then it's like you should ask for that, and they're both very good. It's probably two of the best like supporting performances I saw all year because you just want to see more of them in the movie. um, they're just great. I mean, it's a really good movie. Don't know if I'd watch it too much over and over because it's not, super fun, but
Yeah.
it lands in a really good place. Yeah, it's just really good. It really surprised me. So
I'm not the biggest fan of Adam Driver. I think he is a good actor. Just something about him, he doesn't do it for me necessarily. And as far as Scarlett Johansson goes, I'll talk about her in a movie later on. That's actually pretty high on my list, so I'll talk about her more in depth on that one because it is nothing but good things. So
gotcha. Yeah, Adam Driver. I've never been a big huge fan of him either. I kind of didn't get it for a while. It's like I'm
yeah,
not getting with, but this movie really he did blow me away. I mean, he's very good in this. So yeah, I'd recommend checking it out. Like I said, it's on Netflix. So yeah,
all right. That's yeah. Like I'll get to it at some point. Just yeah,
it's
it's
heavy.
it's
You don't want to like, oh, a fun Friday night at home. It's like you probably want to throw it on then, but kind of
yeah,
be prepared for it. So
yeah. There's a couple like that are just. It's like I don't want to sit through 2 hours of people arguing. There's a couple movies I've seen where I'm like, okay, it's probably gonna settle down pretty soon, and then I realize we're coming to the end. I'm like, oh my god, this just does not stop. I don't want to watch these
yeah,
people
and
argue for two
it's funny
hours.
because it's not all that for 2 hours. It really kind of like ebbs and flows, and it kind of like moves in a real natural way where they kind of the fight that you saw, they really take time to get to that fight, and you understand why they are at that point. There's a lot of times them trying to be civil with each other, for like a long time, and it kind of
Mm,
just starts. Adam Driver goes under a lot of stress because he's trying to like work on a play in New York, and he's trying to see his kid in LA, so he's traveling back and forth. And you can tell he's just like starting to kind of crack. So
yeah.
it feels like, and I think Noah Baumbach, the director, went through a divorce. fairly recent. I can't remember who's married to, I think, a famous actress. I cannot remember who. So I think it's kind of autobiographical, and it feels like somebody who definitely like went through a divorce, like the details of it. So
Yeah.
so yeah, but just when you feel in the mood for a drama, they throw that on.
But see, that's the thing that sells it though, is the performances. If it's got good performances, then I feel like that's what makes it really.
Yeah, and it's like
So,
everybody in the movie, like across the board, but Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson especially. Like if they don't get Oscar nominations, I'll be pretty surprised, honestly. Like,
oh wow.
yeah. So,
All right. Well, my number 16 is a much lighter
oh,
fare. I won't go into it too much, but it's Captain Marvel.
oh, okay. You know what's funny?
Um,
I almost forgot that came out this year.
it again, going back to another podcast I listened to, they they did the best and worst of the year, and they had some really funny categories, and one of them was that came out this year, and the nominations were Captain Marvel, Shazam, and they were both. One of the guys was like, that really did come out this year, and they're like, yeah, it did come out this year.
It really doesn't feel like it at all. But and that's one that I liked, but it just didn't stick with me. As obviously, I just don't remember it came out this year. So,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. It was fun, especially coming off of Infinity War. We needed something that was going to be a little lighter because the dreary ending of that one, and then uh, the emotional sucker punch that was going to be Endgame coming up. So it was a nice little buffer in between those two, and the '90s nostalgia was nice too, and just it made me a fan of Brie Larson. I hadn't seen a whole lot from her before. Um, but yeah, she was really charming in that movie, and just yeah, she gained a fan with that movie. So
yeah, I liked her a lot, and her and Sam Jackson had a lot of good chemistry. I thought like they worked really well together.
yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, I did enjoy that. It had the whole '90s throwback feel, the whole thing. I mean, just a fun superhero movie. That's all. I mean, sometimes that's all you need. You don't need to be like end of the world, like complete Armageddon or anything. So
Yeah, and I really like that they did kind of it is and it isn't an origin story, because you already see her with her powers and moving forward, but then they slowly kind of weave in how she became the way she is throughout the whole movie, as opposed to just giving you 45 minutes of an origin story and then
right.
another hour of just her being the superhero, and then it's over. It's like, oh, it's not very fun. Like, we're 20 movies deep now. We don't
We we
really
don't need
need an
all this.
origin story right now.
I'm pretty tired of origin stories at this point. Like if we could never do them again, that'd be great. Like I told my friend recently, it's like I don't ever want to see Spider-Man from the beginning. I don't want to see Uncle Ben die. I don't want to see all that ever again. It's like we got it. Like it's just like let's just, which is why I
Yeah.
like the new Spider-Man Tom Holland. They just jumped in and didn't redo that. Like thank God. So yeah, origin.
And it's not something you need to dwell on, because we know that story already. You don't need to tell it to us. You can just mention it in passing, and we're gonna get the reference by this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
So Captain Marvel. All right. And my 16, which may upset people, it's this slow. And I don't know if it's higher on your
Whoa.
list. Joker.
Um, that's actually not too much further up on my list. So
Oh, okay. Well, then let's talk about it. Yeah. It. I liked it. I
that,
just. I felt like I did not lose my mind over it like everybody else did. I kind of felt like I
mhm.
was missing something. And I'm like, I don't get it. And it's not the kind of movie that I would want to see anytime soon because it's real heavy. It's very dark. It's very depressing. Um, but I know friends that were like, I saw it 3 or 4 times in theaters. I'm like, I cannot fathom that, but it's like,
Yeah, no kidding.
people loved it. I mean, I'm still shocked at the amount of money it made. Just because, I mean, I know it's Joker, I know it's DC, but it's not like, an audience pleaser. I don't, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but
definitely
I
not.
thought Joaquin Phoenix was amazing.
Oh yeah.
That is most of the reason it's probably on my list at all. It's like I just thought he was like out of this world. Like he's got to get an Oscar nomination. I think. I mean, I don't know if they would not give him one. I mean, but he carried the whole movie for me. I mean, the whole thing is very much. I don't know if you've seen Taxi Driver and King of Comedy.
I've seen King of Comedy. I may have seen Taxi Driver, but it's been a very long time, and I saw it was on Netflix, and I put it on my watch list, and I haven't gotten back to it
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, that's a classic. I mean, those I just saw King of Comedy first time last year, and that one surprised me because it's kind of talked about as like lesser Scorsese. I don't think it's lesser Scorsese at all. I think it was fantastic. Robert De Niro's in that, and then it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of playing because he's a kind of king of comedy. He's like a guy trying to get on this talk show. It's kind of like a big talk show like Johnny Carson or Jay Leno or Conan or whoever at the time, and it's made up, and it's Jerry Lewis plays the talk show host, and now De Niro and Joker is kind of playing that role, the Jerry Lewis role in King Comedy, so it's kind of flipped. I mean, I think Todd
Yeah.
Phillips, the director, has not been shy about saying like, yeah, he's heavily influenced by Taxi Driver and King Comedy, but like some things were like I think straight up lifted from those movies. So to me, it was kind of like I'm watching like, okay, this is very like much those two movies with like Batman lore thrown in, and so it just
Yeah.
blew me away in that way. It's well made. I mean, I can't, but I'm just surprised everybody was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" Like, I got to see this 5 times in theaters. I'm like, so, but still, it's on my list. So I don't want to sound like I'm crapping on it, but it just kind of, it just didn't blow me away like everybody else did. So,
Yeah. Like I said, I think the movie it was very well made. It was again, it's all around. It was very good, but had the whoever they would have chosen to be Joker that wasn't Joaquin Phoenix, if they hadn't delivered such a great performance, then it would still have been a good movie, but it would have bordered on kind of mediocre, you know.
yeah, yeah,
So it's definitely Joaquin Phoenix that sells the movie, and I do like the whole how it's kind of playing off the mental illness thing and how he was actually trying to get help, but they didn't. They were just kind of brushing it aside because mental health wasn't really a thing,
right,
or mental illness wasn't a thing in the 80s.
yeah,
So there was actually a part towards the end when he's going on his rant, and without saying too much, and like I really was in the moment with him and felt it. Like I almost started, I did kind of start tearing up because I felt the same way he did for about 10 seconds, and then he kind of veered back into his own way, and then it went away. But just that 5 or 10 second span of stuff he was saying is just like, oh my god, like I have been there and I feel that, and then he turns back into Joker basically. I was like, okay, well now we're out of it.
yeah. I think I know what part you're talking about. I think I had the same reaction where it kind of hit me. Like I said, it's a real bummer, and I don't want to see it again because it really bummed me out, the stuff of mental illness, and it's like I think some of that it does well, some of it I'm like, I don't know. Like I kind of don't want them. I don't want people to take the wrong message that, oh, if you've got a mental illness, you're going to turn to a sociopath and kill people. But I don't know if
Yeah,
everyone
exactly.
like. I don't think that was too much of a concern. People really did that, but there are times you relate to him, which I think again is back to Joaquin Phoenix and how good he is, that you just feel really bad for him. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I liked it, but to me, I was very bummed out afterwards, and I'm like, I'm gonna see that for like maybe another couple of years or something. Maybe I'll come back to it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely a huge surprise hit. I think it made $1 billion, which is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so
First R-rated movie ever to do that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Did and didn't see that coming. I knew it was going to be a big hit because they had hyped it up so much, and I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a huge hit.
mhm.
And then just opened my phone one day and it was like Joker to be first R-rated movie to hit $1 billion today, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, okay, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I would have guessed like maybe a couple 100 million because it's a superhero related movie, and those always do well nowadays. It seems like, and they hyped it up so much, but $1 billion
Yeah.
is nuts, and I think it only cost them like 40 or 50 million to make. So
I think it's now the most profitable comic book movie of all time as well, too. Yeah.
that makes sense because it's got a lower budget than most of the comic book movies. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So that was my 16 was Joker. What's your 15?
All right. Well, keeping moving with the comic book theme, it's Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Well, did not make
Um,
my list, but would be an honorable mention again.
yeah. Again, it was a nice little treat after again the emotional gut punch that was
hmm
Endgame, and it had a couple with sad moments, but for the most part, it was just you're kind of back to basics. It's Spider-Man against a bad guy, and that's that was really it. But they did a really good job on it, and it was really fun. Jake Gyllenhaal does good as always, which I wasn't against him being Mysterio. I just was like, I'm glad they got an actor of such high caliber, but I don't know if he quite fits in with the Marvel motif. But then seeing him in it, I was like, you know what? Like he really did good on his own in that. It was he did a really good job. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of the MVP of that movie in a way. Like I thought he did a really good job because I kind of was like you. I was like, I don't know, him as Mysterio, I don't really see it, even though I think he's a really good actor. I was kind of like surprised, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna work. And then I thought he was the best part of the movie. So he's just good
Yeah.
in everything, apparently. I like that one. It was fun. We needed that movie after Endgame. I feel like you needed that one just kind of like take a breath and have a palate cleanser almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's just like reset and kind of you know I mean, go on like a summer vacation like they do in the movie. It's like you need like a little vacation from like the heaviness of all the Marvel stuff that's up to that point. So, um, very interested with how that one ended. I won't say how it left off, but thank God they got Tom Holland back too. That was like the scariest moment of the year for me. It was when
Oh
it
my
was
God,
like,
I
oh, we've
know.
lost the rights to Spider-Man. I was like, you got to be kidding me! Come on, it's like Disney, Marvel. You have money. You can print money at this point. Just pay up.
Yeah,
So
and it's like don't give us that kind of ending if you aren't 100% sure you're gonna be able to follow it up. You know.
yeah, I was like, you got to be, especially the ending. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, come on, like it's just like get it together, all of you, to make like Sony and Marvel and Disney, like you all can make money. Let's just keep it. And I guess they worked out, thankfully, because Tom Holland. I know this is controversial. He's my favorite Spider-Man, and I used to love Tobey Maguire, but I think Tom Holland has, for me, surpassed him as my favorite Spider-Man. So
Um, I will agree. I do think he's probably the best of them. I was gonna say live action. I think my favorite Spider-Man movie is still Spider-Man 2, which I'm surprised a lot of people give me shit for.
no, it's. I think it's
Um,
if I think I like Homecoming like a hair more, but for a long time, Spider-Man 2 I thought was like one of the best superhero movies ever made. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
but I kind of like I don't
Uh,
know, those Tobey Maguire ones have not. I still like the first two a lot, but they just
mhm.
haven't. I don't know. I don't like them as much as I used to, but I still like them. I just they've waned a little bit for me. But Spider-Man 2 was a great superhero movie. I'm surprised anyone gives you a hard time about that.
I got into an argument with somebody at work because I told them I did not like the third one, and they were defending it like it was probably the best Spider-Man movie ever. And I'm just like,
What?
did we watch the same movie? Like, what? I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not without its good scenes, but overall, I mean, even Sam Raimi will tell you, oh yeah, I screwed up majorly with that movie.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's
Spider-Man 3 is. I
yeah.
hate Spider-Man 3. Like,
I've maybe seen it twice, if that.
I was like
Um,
actively mad. I remember when that came out, I was like the whole, oh God, like Dark Peter, emo Peter, whatever you want to call it.
oh god,
I,
emo Peter.
I was like in my seat, just like going, like scooting down, like, oh God, what have we done? And they totally botched Venom, but it's like,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
Sam Raimi apparently didn't care about Venom, is what I heard, and they kind of forced him to put Venom in the movie, and I mean, it shows. It acts like he actually isn't one in the movie. So
Yeah, no kidding.
Topher Grace, it's a bad choice. Everything. Spider-Man 3. I think it has a couple things that are okay. Maybe like the first half of the movie, but I mean, overall, it's a mess. Like so, yeah.
And I'm not a Topher Grace fan in general, but I honestly don't blame him for leaving that '70s show to go do that, because that's the reason why he quit the show. Was it was either he had to quit the show or
Oh, I didn't
pass on Venom, and it's like, you know what, if they asked me to do it, I'm sorry, bye show, I'm
see
gone.
ya. This show's been on for like 8 years. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're kind of done anyway.
We can wrap
Um,
this thing up, right?
but it
Yeah.
still stands for me that Spider Verse is my favorite Spider-Man
Oh,
movie overall, though.
that movie.
Now,
That if we did like a top 10 of the decade or something like that, that would probably be my best of the decade. That movie's incredible.
oh yeah, definitely. Which I'm still slowly working on. I don't know if I'll ever release a top 10 of the decade, maybe in print form. Because even just talking about those 10 movies would probably be a long episode. But yeah, it's really hard work. I'm surprised because I went through 2010s, all of the movies I saw in 2010, and I came up with 3 movies for that year, which was kind of surprising. I figured I was gonna struggle with like 10 movies a year. No, 2010, I only had 3 movies.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not, if you have to make a top 10 for the whole decade, if you got three in one year, that's not too bad, you know? I did,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
funny, I finished mine. I finished my best of the 2010s. I ended up doing 25 movies because I was like, why limit myself? I just put on
yeah.
Letterboxd and it actually wasn't that hard. I actually kind of left some stuff off that I still thought needed to be on there. But, uh, but yeah, there was a lot of good stuff. It was actually I thought it was kind of like backloaded. I felt like the last maybe 3 or 4 years to me had a lot more choices than the beginning of the decade.
Yeah.
But um, but yeah, we're getting off topic. But yeah, it's like,
I know.
but Spider-Man
Tangent.
Far From Home is definitely just a nice light palate cleanser after after Endgame, a nice kind of like reset for the next phase wherever they go with Marvel. So
What? Oh, the next one is Black Widow, huh?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
which I'm curious about because I had no real interest in that one, and then I saw the
I
trailer.
didn't either, but yeah, it looks good.
I'm like, that looks good. I guess I should not. I should stop doubting Marvel at this point. It's like I guess they're gonna keep cranking out good movies.
Yeah, no
So,
kidding.
okay, so I guess we'll go on to my 15, which is a
hmm
movie you mentioned a couple minutes ago, which was Long Shot.
All
I got
right.
quiet on that one. I was like, it's coming up in a couple picks, so I'll just say it then. Uh, it's funny. I agree with you. It's like I don't think comedy should like ever be over 2 hours long. I think that's like a death sentence. When I see a comedy, it's like I think Funny People with Adam Sandler was like 2.5 hours long. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's. I remember that's the movie I always say. That's like why a comedy should not be that long. It's just no one wants to comedy go on for 2.5 hours. It's ridiculous. Like 90 minutes, great. But Long Shot. That's like
See,
my only complaint about Long Shot was that it was too long because I loved it otherwise. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were we gonna say?
oh no. Well, actually, first, okay. See, yeah, long shot was 125 minutes. I said
Oh,
135, but um, I think I know a lot of people are probably mad at this too, but honestly, I think Funny People was probably my favorite Judd Apatow directed movie, just because um, it's definitely his most mature movie. It doesn't have to rely on raunchy, gross jokes, which I mean, don't get me wrong, he's the highest caliber of those. He knows how to use raunchy, gross jokes very well. But I do remember seeing that movie in the theater, and uh, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's almost 10 years old at this point, so I'm not spoiling anything. Adam Sandler has like a rare form of cancer, I think, and from the trailers they show you he gets over it, and decides to kind of like turn his life around in a way. But um, I remember looking, and it was like we were 80 minutes in and he's still sick. I'm like, oh my god, and like we still have another hour to go. Like this is insane.
I forgot about that. The trailer is really like I feel like kind of told you one thing was going to happen, and it didn't quite go. The trailer was kind of misrepresenting the movie. I felt like if I remember that one right, because I remember seeing it going, "This is not what I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
There are things I like in that movie. Like it's definitely Judd Apatow. That seemed like a movie where he was like cashing in his chips after all the success he had and being like, "This is what I want to make." And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a drama. It's 2.5, like 2+ hours long. It's like and but it just I remember that one. It just to me felt like I was like, this is 30 minutes too long at least. But
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. It could have been shorter, but like I said, I still overall I really did like it.
I probably need to watch it at some point because there's some funny people in that movie too. But speaking of funny people, Long Shot.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a really good supporting cast besides Charlie Theron and Seth Rogen, who I thought were both really good. And when I
yeah,
first saw those trailers, I was like, really? Seth Rogen and Charlie Theron? What? Like, I think most people were like, I
yeah,
don't get it. The movie makes you buy that they would be in a relationship. I feel like it really does a good job of like selling that she would fall for Seth Rogen.
yeah,
And I feel like it's very smart. I thought it was really funny. Um, it probably is a little bit too long, but it's like one of the best romantic comedies we've gotten in a long time, which I don't think they make a lot of good romantic comedies these days. They don't make any of them at all, but good ones are really few and far between. um,
yeah,
but it's actually good at being romantic and funny, which is the rare feat. I feel like it goes in some crazy directions. There's like one scene where they're overseas somewhere and like an attack starts. Being like,
yeah.
what's
That
going
that was a really surprising scene. I did not see that coming at
Yeah,
all.
it was like what? So it just goes off in some really funny, kind of crazy directions. I think O'Shea Jackson, who's Ice Cube's son, shows up,
Yeah,
and he's really funny. That guy, every movie I've seen him in, he like steals the movie. Every scene he's in, he's hilarious, and he's great. That was one of the surprises of the year for me was Long Shot, and I feel bad because I think it came out literally I think the week after Endgame, and just got
yeah, and it tanked
swallowed
hard.
up. I got completely destroyed, and it was like I'd already seen Game, and I went to go see Longshot the weekend after, and I was like, this is one of the best movies I've seen this year. So
Yeah,
yeah, I just really like it. It's very charming. It's very sweet. It's very funny. I'm pushing people to see Longshot. Whenever I tell people, I'm like, what movie should I see that I missed this year? It's like go see Longshot. It's very funny.
yeah, definitely. Well, we can real quick. My number 14 is Joker.
Oh,
What's your 14?
uh, easy enough. My number 14 is John Wick Chapter 3.
Okay, mine. I'm a few spots above that.
Okay. Um, Funny because it's 14, but it's still pretty much the best pure action movie I saw all year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, because you can call like the super. I don't. It's funny because I don't really. It sounds so stupid, but superhero movies, they're definitely action movies, but I think they're almost their own genre at this point. If that
Hmm.
makes sense. So John Wick 3 is like the most just the. I mean, just the best straight up action movie, and the first 15, 20 minutes, they throw
Oh my God.
you right into it. I,
Yeah,
I mean, he uses a book. He uses a horse. He's like beating people.
makes his own gun.
I forgot about making his own gun.
Yeah.
I need that's another. I need to get back. I just got it on 4K for Christmas. I need to rewatch it. I haven't had a chance yet. Um, but I mean, these movies are like all three of them. This might be my least favorite of the three, but it's like, I mean, all three are like top notch. I mean, it's like it's it's just it gets a little. I don't want to say too crazy. It gets like really deep into the mythology of like what's going on with these assassins and like, which I kind of like. Sometimes it's like kind of almost is a little too much. I don't know. It's like, um, it's just it's a crazy movie. I can't believe they're still making more of these. Like they're making
Yeah.
more. It's like they keep pushing. I mean, I'll keep going. I'm not gonna. It's like just keep making Keanu. It's fine. I think it's hilarious that they plan to open John Wick 4 the same day as Matrix 4.
Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. It's either gonna be a good thing or it's gonna backfire.
I can't believe they're going to stick to that. I feel like it's one of those things where one of them is going to blink and move the date because I just
Yeah.
that's just not good for either one of them. I mean, I'll go see two Keanu Reeves movies in one weekend. I don't care. I'll
Oh hell
be
yeah.
but but yeah, I mean, John Wick 3 there's just not much to say. It's just it's bigger and crazier than the first two and it's got some great action. Yeah, and I'm all aboard the Keanu Reeves renaissance. I'm glad everybody's back on board. Like, I feel like I never
Yeah.
left, but it's like,
Yeah.
um,
No kidding.
yeah, it's just I'm happy for him because he seems like a super nice dude, and it's like I'm glad he's having all the success now. So,
Yeah. No kidding,
but yeah,
man.
great action movies. Not much else to say. So,
Yeah. I I want to say it might be my favorite of them, but I somehow keep going back to the second one. The second one is just amazing overall. The third one, I the only thing that where it dips for me is actually during the final no, not I shouldn't say the final battle, but rather the final shootout with all the guys coming into the hotel and all that.
oh,
That it was really good, but I feel like if this was supposed to be the big climactic shootout, it should have been a little bigger than that, and it wasn't. Considering everything that came before it, it really wasn't anything too special.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I think.
but
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say no, but just overall though, it was a crowd pleaser to me. Like I
Oh,
was
yeah.
making noises the whole time. I there was a lady and sitting in front of us, and after every time he would do some like brutal move to somebody, you could just hear that lady just go like you would hear her doing like oh like that. But then after he would be done, like he would finally kill them or whatever, she would just go shit.
That's that's me in these movies. It's funny because I'm just like a non-violent person in real life. I don't own any guns. I don't like but it's like I love these kind of movies, and I'm like cackling. I'm like giddy watching the John Wick
Yeah,
movies. I'm like, ooh, like I'm just like you probably hear me just laughing like a maniac in the background. Because I think the problem with three, I realized maybe I might have burned myself out because the night before I was going to go see three, I watched one and two back to back,
mm,
and you watch the third one. That's a lot of shooting. That's a lot of killing. It's just like
yeah,
you
no
almost become kind
kidding.
of numb to it after that much in that quick succession. So I might have like, I was like, did I hurt the movie by watching too much John Wick before? It's like I
Yeah,
ate two pizzas and had a third pizza. It's like it might be too much, But I think I would rank them. I just if I'm gonna, like, I think I'd go probably two, one, and three. But I mean, it's like it's such a close race between the three of them. It's not like three's way below the other two or anything like that. So, but I think two is the sweet spot. I feel like two expands upon the first one, but it hasn't gotten like super crazy yet.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
but I'm still excited for four. I can't imagine where they're going to go with that one at this point. So,
It did kind of piss me off when Keanu said this is the final one, and we're done. I don't want to keep making them if they're gonna get I don't want them to get watered down over time with sequels and whatnot. So I was like, okay, cool. Like we're gonna get a definitive ending, and then it ends on a cliffhanger, and
Yeah.
then 2 days later they had a release date for part four, and I was like, oh man, like I'm excited, I will go see it, but I was hoping for an ending like
Yeah.
it sounded like we were gonna get.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to keep making more and more money. It's like each one keeps doing better than the last one. And
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I feel like I heard somewhere, maybe wrong, that four is definitively like they won't make any more, which I hope is true. Because I feel like we're that thing with three, it's like almost like I think of an analogy. It's almost like they were holding too many plates and they're about to fall, but they kept them up for me. But it's like they're dangerous now. It's like they're getting close to like just letting all this craziness kind of get too big and away from them. But I feel like they still have a handle on it. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in four. Four has to be the last one. Like they got to stop. So
Yeah, because then even if they are consistently good, you're gonna get you're gonna get bored of them. Not necessarily bored, but you're just gonna get burnt out. It's like I don't need to see another one of these.
right, and Keanu Reeves is going to keep getting older, even though he seems like he aged like a vampire. But
God, no kidding.
that maybe they should make four, wait like 10, 20 years, make an old man Wick, like a
Yeah.
Logan
Oh, that would
style.
that would be kind of cool. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Pitch that to somebody. But and then I'm
Yeah.
really excited for Bill and Ted this year.
Oh God, yeah,
Bill and Ted 3. I'm
definitely.
like just Keanu train, bring it. I'm on board.
Yes.
So
All Keanu all year long.
I'm all about it. So that was my 14. So what's your 13?
13 is. Let me look at my list really quick. Yeah, I think 13 is probably the funniest movie I've seen this year, and that is Booksmart.
Oh yes, I love Booksmart. It's a little higher on my list, but yeah, let's.
It was really hard. Like, this is where I started having problems. Once I hit pretty much 14 on, I was like, oh, okay, I
That's so
know how these are
funny.
gonna go.
I was looking at my list and I had the exact same problem. Like these, like 14 through 19 were almost like could have been the honorable mentions, but like 13 through 1 are like I had a really hard time with these. These are all like great movies to me and I had a very hard time ranking them.
Yeah. Booksmart was one of those ones like I don't even think I saw a trailer, but I heard what it was about. I heard who was involved, who was directing it. Which kudos to Olivia Wilde, who I've never disliked, but I've never necessarily been a fan of hers. She did a great job as her first time directing. I know she didn't do any of the writing. I don't think I've ever heard of the two guys that wrote it, but and people, it really does bother me when people call it the female version of Superbad, which I mean, I can see that, but also they're completely different
Yeah,
movies.
to me they're very different. I mean, besides it being two seniors who were boys and two seniors who were girls, but having like a crazy night,
Yeah,
that's the end of it to me. It's like that's where it stops.
exactly. But the jokes were very smart, and it was just one of those movies where one day I got off of work and I walked over to the Red Box, which apparently Red Box is only an American thing. So for those of you who don't know
Oh,
what it is, it's basically a DVD, Blu-ray vending machine. You can rent movies from it. I saw Booksmart was there, and I was like, all right, I'm kind of in the mood for a funny movie, and I've heard this one's really good, so I'll get it. And the opening scene of them dancing, I was already sold. I was like, okay,
oh yeah,
if it continues to be as funny and unique as this scene, like I'm all for it, and it just gets even better from there on. There's so many highlights that you could pull from it.
yeah, it's
Um,
great. And it's funny because that first scene where they dance pretty much at each other, I was like on board immediately. I'm like, this is
yeah,
great. I'm like, I love the vibe already. So
yeah, they both of them did really good. Beanie Feldstein, who was
something, yeah.
Jonah Hill's brother, which I did not know.
Or sister, yeah.
I'm sorry,
That's
yeah,
okay.
sister. Whoops. Which because and then I was like, really? And I looked up Jonah Hill, and his name is Jonah Hill Feldstein. So
Yeah, which I hadn't realized. It was like,
I
oh,
didn't know
yeah,
that
yeah.
either.
But I can see
And
it.
my girlfriend was like, you can't tell that's his sister, and I was like, no, not really. Like I
Yeah,
don't think they look alike, but
no, I mean, I could see it when you tell me, but it's not like uncanny. It's not like you put a wig on Jonah Hill and he looks like her, anything like that.
yeah,
It's not
exactly.
that close. So,
And
yeah,
I can't remember the other girl's name, but I know she was on that Tim Allen show, Last Man Standing, which uh, long story short, the show is funny. I don't like it as a whole.
mhm.
Like I said, the jokes are funny. I don't care for it, but she was good on that show from the little bit I saw, and she did a really good job in this movie. And I know she's on some movie on Netflix that apparently she's getting a lot of praise for too, which I can't remember the name of it now. But yeah, she's really good in this, and I feel like she's gonna hopefully she keeps getting put in good things because she's a pretty good actress.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I was kind of curious too. Caitlin Dever is her name.
There you go.
And yeah, her and Beanie Feldstein are so good together and so funny. And they give Caitlin Dever a really good storyline that's like really sweet. Kind of won't spoil it where it goes, but it's like a really sweet, like kind of romantic storyline that has a
Hmm.
very awkward scene, but it's like it's
Yeah.
just very honest and very real. And I got to give Olivia Wilde a lot of credit because one thing about comedies you don't hear a lot is like, oh, that was really well directed. But Booksmart's really well directed.
Yeah, it is.
it's
It really
it's
is.
got this like crazy little like trippy animated scene, which I really
Yeah, that was hilarious.
unexpected. But I remember thinking like, damn, Olivia Wilde's really directing the hell out of this thing. Which a lot of times comedies you kind of just plop the camera down and let people kind of go. But I feel like she really you could feel there was like her guiding it through the whole thing, and it's very funny. And I want to get the name of the other girl who was really funny, who kept popping up, who I think is Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billy Lord. I want to say
Oh, Billy Lord. Yeah, she was really funny in that
she just
too.
pops up at random places and was like killing me every time she popped up. And God, there's a scene,
Yeah.
there's so many funny scenes, but like um with my sister and we were dying. There's like a karaoke scene where they're singing Alanis Morissette.
Oh my god.
I was like losing my mind. It's
Yeah.
there's just so much good stuff in that movie, and I feel so bad um, that it didn't do that well. I don't think it because it was a small budget. I don't think it like bombed. But I remember the weekend it came out, or the weekend after, Olivia Wilde was like on Twitter, pretty much having to beg people like to go see the movie. She's like, "We're we all worked really
Yeah.
hard on this. Like it's a small movie, please support it." Um, so yeah, I saw it twice. I was out there. I was like telling people like, "You got to see Booksmart. Come on!" Like I took people the second time. I was like, "This is great." So I've been a big fan of that one all year. I've been like, you know, tooting the horn for that one. I'm like, go see Booksmart, and now it's on Blu-ray and um, you can rent it. It's really funny. It probably is the best comedy I saw all year. I gotta say.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
So yeah, it's great. Glad we're talking about that one. So
Oh yeah.
um, so that was your 13. My 13
Hmm.
is very different.
Okay.
It's The Lighthouse.
See, I still haven't seen that. I really want to though.
They didn't make it easy to see. I don't think. I can't remember. I had to go to my like local like repertory theater around here. It's called the Narrow. It's like kind of like the art house theater. I think it was in normal like mainstream theaters for a week or two, but it was kind of hard to track down. But it's yeah, that movie. It's like kind of like Midsummer with you're like you can't believe this is out and like kind of getting like a major release with major stars in it because it's such a weird, crazy movie. I
Yeah.
wrote something about it because I'm going to write something about it for the site that I write for, and I just wrote like it's like who would bankroll a black and white two-person chamber piece that's it got old-timey sailor talk in it? Like what? Like if I told you that on paper,
Yeah.
it's like that'd be insane. But Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe are so good in that movie. It's funny because Willem Dafoe got all the talk I think before I saw it, and he was great. I feel like he's born to play an old sea sailor type guy. Like that
Yeah.
is his DNA. But then Robert Pattinson, I thought to me actually was even a little bit better. I don't know. He kind of, or maybe he kind of surprised me more because he's so good, and he has to do some really weird stuff that we'll go into, and it's got a lot of weird, like dark comedy in it. Um, it's just a crazy movie. I mean, I guess Robert Eggers, like, he got a bunch of goodwill from The Witch, and then he was like, "Well, I'm going to go take it and make this crazy uh, movie about two guys on an island lighthouse, and there may or may not be a monster." Yeah, it's just like this weird, like such a specific thing that you can only make when you've had a movie that was like a critical darling. I feel like he took all his cachet and was like, "I'm going to make this," and I went with a friend of mine, and we were like the two weirdos that were laughing through most of it. I mean, it's just I think most of it's supposed to be funny. It's kind of hard to tell, but I don't even know what to say about it without kind of spoiling more. But it's very weird. It's definitely not. It's not for main. I feel like it would not please mainstream audiences at all. But it's just such an interesting movie that I actually really enjoy. So.
Yeah, I'm curious. I have like a rental voucher that Google Play just sent me out of nowhere for whatever reason. It was like $1.50 for any movie rental, and I went and looked up The Lighthouse, and at that time it said it had 5 days before it became available for rental,
Oh,
which I think today might be the
oh,
fifth day. So maybe I'll watch it later on today. We'll see. I gotta see if it's available to rent or not yet. But yeah, I really love The Witch. I can't believe I could have sworn Robert Eggers did something in between The Witch and The Lighthouse, but he hasn't. That was a good, what, 4 years ago, maybe
I think three.
three
I
years
think
ago.
about 2016. I think.
Okay, I guess that's about right then. Unless you're Ari Aster and you did two movies in 2 years, which, dear God, I don't know how the hell he did that.
And two movies that seemed like they would take a while to make, especially Midsummer. Like that movie just seems like it would take the way it was shot, and I just the movie. I can't remember. I read how long they spent over there shooting that movie, and I thought it
It
was
was like July to October or something like that.
yeah. So you got that one out pretty quick, but yeah, it is just Eggers too. You had me questioning. I was like, he did just kind of take a gap there between The Witch and Lighthouse, but I think he was entertaining a bunch of offers. I don't know if you listened to the Shockwaves podcast. He was on
Oh yeah, yeah.
a few weeks ago, and it sounded like he was kind of bouncing around some ideas. I'm kind of glad he. I think he made the point that he was like, I could go do something kind of more mainstream for a big studio, but I kind of thought this was my chance to like sneak this weird movie out there. Like he kind of wanted to put it
Yeah.
out there while he had the chance. Um, I think he wants to do, or he might be doing Nosferatu, like another version of that, which is
Oh wow, that'd be pretty cool.
very interesting. So, but yeah, like Ari Aster, Robert Eggers is a guy that like I'm on board for whatever movie he directs, I'll go see it. So
Yeah, just based off The Witch, I'm all for it. That's why when I heard he was doing another movie, another horror movie, and especially with Willem Dafoe, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm not a huge fan of Robert Pattinson. I mean, I don't dislike him, but I do respect that he's a good actor and all that. Which, after seeing Uncut Gems, which we will probably talk about later, um, I saw that Good Time is on Netflix, which I still haven't seen, and I've heard it's amazing, and I really want to get to it.
it is good. I watched it, I think last year, and I think maybe the it was built up a little bit too much for me. He's really good in it, but I thought the movie was kind of just like it was good, you know what I mean? But I wasn't like blown away by it by a lot of people.
Hmm.
But he's a guy you told me 10 years ago, whenever Twilight came out. It's like this guy's going to be a really good actor in a few years. I'd be like, okay, sure. But he is
Yeah.
him and Kristen Stewart are trying so hard, and I got to respect for this to get away from Twilight. You can clearly tell they're trying to like do all these weird indie projects with the occasional kind of bigger movie in there.
Hmm.
Like they're just he's doing a good job. I mean, most things I've seen him in, I thought he's a really good actor. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, moving on to my number 12 is probably the biggest surprise of the year of how much I liked it, and it's Ready or Not.
oh yep, that is higher on my list. I love that movie.
It was so much fun. I feel like I needed a good horror comedy, which I feel like there hasn't been a very good one in a while, and that just yeah it was definitely satiating. It was perfect. It was exactly what I needed. It was funny and it was very bloody and over the top and just yeah, that's really all I can say about it. Just it was some damn good
And
fun.
it was a real like out of nowhere surprise. I feel like because I felt
Yeah,
like I
definitely.
don't remember if I saw a trailer for it. I think I might have known it was coming out, but I didn't know much about it. And it just was. It suddenly was out, and I was looking at the movies that are coming out, and I'm like, "Oh, Ready or Not's out. I want to see that." So I just went kind of blind, which was good because I heard the trailer spoiled a lot. Apparently, like a lot of the beats
Mm,
gave stuff away. So I went in there pretty blind, and I loved it. Like earlier in the year when I first saw it, it was very high on my list. It's a little farther down now, but um, like I was like I went gaga over that thing. I loved it. Like, and I think most of that is Samara Weaving in that movie is
mm-hmm.
so good, and I love her like in everything I see her. And she was in a movie called Mayhem that came out a year or two ago. It was kind of like it came out around the same time as the movie The Belko Experiment, and they were very similar movies. It was like people trapped in office buildings, and there's like something in the air that makes everyone go crazy and attack each other. And um, I don't know if you saw either of those, but her and Mayhem, she's in there with Stephen Yeun, I think his name is from Walking Dead,
Okay.
and it's very fun. I think it's the much better of those two movies. Belko Experiment did not work for me, but Mayhem, she's great in that. She totally, I think she carries Ready or Not. Um, and I just want to see her in like everything. I think my letterbox review was
Yeah.
like, I think I started by saying like, "Hey, can we just put Samara Weaving in like all the movies? Is that cool?" Like, she's just yeah, she's great. It's super fun. Like I had a blast. I didn't know where it was going, and then like the ending like blew me away because I did not expect them to go the direction they did.
See, and I don't know what I read. I think it might have just been an ad for that movie, and or I really don't know what it was, but I know it was a post on Facebook about the movie, and I don't know why I looked at the comments, but a lot of people were just like, "Oh, just so much fun. This is a great movie." Uh, just things like that. And then all of a sudden, the next comment was, "I can't believe this happened at the end." I was
Oh,
like, "Son of a bitch!" Like,
God.
really?
Oh man, I'm sorry. That sucks. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that happened to me with something. It's like I was reading comments for something unrelated to what movie was that, and someone just gave a spoiler away in the comments. You're like, you son of a bitch. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, yeah, that sucks. I mean, going in blind because I saw people who criticize Ready or Not, and like they're kind of like, oh, it was predictable, or I knew where it was going. I'm like, predictable what? And then I guess if you saw the trailer, you kind of see where it was going more. 'Cause I think we're back and watch after the fact, and I said, oh, okay, I can see where you think you can get the beats from this trailer, but yeah, it was a real like pleasant out of nowhere surprise at the end of summer, like that I just had a lot of fun with, and yeah, it just was like kind of reminded me of another movie that's actually higher up on my list, which I'll talk about in a few picks. So
All right. Yeah, I'm glad I went into that mostly blind, like I did with Booksmart. I don't think I saw the trailer for either one of those. I had probably read what they were about and was like, okay, this sounds good. And then again, it was just one of those days. I got off work and was like, oh, let's see if there's anything new at the Red Box. And I was like, oh, Ready or Not. Like we were just talking about that the other day. Like I'll get it, and there we are. I was like, all right, good. I'm glad I went in this knowing almost nothing.
I like doing that more and more movies now. Like the less I can know, the better. Give me like a one sentence like synopsis, and if I'm like I know some of the people in it or the director, that's all I want to know sometimes, you know. So
Yeah. See, that's just like another movie I'll talk about a little higher up. Kind of the same thing. I heard who was writing and directing, who was involved, and more or lest what it was about. And I was like, I don't need to see a trailer, even though I did. I was like, you already have my money. Like, I'm gonna go see it. So,
exactly, it's like I think it's funny they put the trailer out for Quiet Place 2, and I don't know if you
hmm
saw that, and there was like a really short like 15-second teaser, then there was a full trailer. That's a movie where I'm like, you don't need a trailer, I'll go, like I'm gonna be there, don't worry. It's like just
that 15-second trailer was perfect.
that's
That was
all you
all you
need.
needed.
Yeah.
That full trailer, when did we see that? I think we saw it when uh my girlfriend and I went and saw Uncut Gems, and like
Yeah,
after the trailer I turned to her and I was like, I think you saw the creatures more in this trailer than you
yes,
did in the entire first
that's a
movie.
good
Like
point.
that's not good.
That's a good point. Yeah, I was like, we're seeing a lot of these. I don't know. Like, I could have just done the 15-second teaser, and that would have been good. Like, I'm gonna go. People are gonna go. The first one was a huge hit. If as long as you know that like Emily Blunt's back in it and it's the same kids, I don't think you need to do much. It reminds me of like it was funny. People talking about when Endgame was coming out. It was like, do we need trailers? It was like you could have had like the Russo brothers stand in front of a green screen and go, you're gonna see it. Like it
Yeah,
comes out April
exactly.
26th. You'll be there. We're not gonna show you anything.
And I'm glad I kind of called it for that. I said, they're not going to want to do a full on trailer for the movie. I said what I think they should do is just kind of give you highlights of all the movies up until now in trailer form, and they more or less did that.
Yeah.
You kind of got like 25 seconds of in game footage at the end, but well, the teaser ones, and then you got the full trailer, and they did and didn't show a lot.
Yeah, they did pretty well. It was funny because you really could have just done nothing and people would have been there. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
like,
it's like, do you think people are just going to be okay with Infinity War and not go see this at all?
right.
Like, come on.
You had him on the hook. So,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, you're 12, Ready or Not.
Mm-hmm.
My 12, which this is why I'm really glad we did more than top 10 because now these couple had a very hard time if they went up in the top 10, starting with number 12, which was Uncut Gems.
Okay, it's a few more spots higher on mine.
Thought so when you said that earlier. And
Yeah.
that speaks to how I think, as I said already, I think this year was like one of the best years of the decade for movies. Like, I thought
Mm-hmm.
this year was super strong, and it was like a nice variety. And like, there's a lot of years. I look back on my past, like, kind of top 10 lists, which I've only been keeping because I was into movies a lot when I was younger. I kind of fell out of it. And then I really got back into it the past 5 years, and I've been keeping my top 10 list. There's a lot of years where Uncut Gems would be like a top three of the year. Like, so the fact that
Yeah.
it's 12 just speaks to like the quality. So, I mean, I think everyone has said this about this movie. It is super stressful. It is,
God, yes.
oh my God. It is
Uh,
like, I have a friend, who he does not do well with like a lot of sounds and like people talking over each other, and he's just very like, I'm like, you should not see Uncut Gems, my friend. I was like, because
sensory overload.
yeah, it's sensory overload for him. Like for me, it was almost too much. It was like there's a scene early on where they're in Adam Sandler's like jewelry shop, and it's like him and like Keith Stanfield, who plays kind of like his gopher. I don't know what you call like his assistant. He kind of helps him get people in the door. I think Kevin Garnett's already
Yeah.
there, and it's just like everybody's talking over each other and like talking at the same time and yelling. It's just like, but it's like,
Which, you know what? Props to the sound people, because yeah, like you said, they were talking over each other, but you were able to understand what everybody was saying. You heard everyone's argument or lines. Like
yeah,
you know, it wasn't just muddled. You heard everybody, which, like I said, props to the sound people, because I don't know if that maybe that added to the nerve wrackingness of it, because you were hearing everything as opposed to just noise.
I think it did because like, people talking too much and yelling actually does kind of like rack my nerves. I feel like, and I was
Mm-hmm.
oh, God, like, but it's something you don't see a lot in movies. I feel like people stop, you know, they say their line, the other person talks. They don't talk over each other a lot. And I
Yeah.
feel like this was more chaotic, more real. Kind of captured his hectic life in a nutshell. A lot of like a lot of hectic phone calls. Like someone had a great review. It's like on a very short review on Letterboxd. It was like uh, it's like 2 hours of chaotic conversations and phone calls, and I loved it. It was just like, but it's just
Mhm. Yeah.
it's constant like it doesn't take much time to like be quiet and breathe. But the funny thing is, all this chatter, it still has one of the best scores of the year. I don't know if you noticed like how good
Oh
that.
my god.
I've already got
I
it on
love the
Spotify.
score to it.
Listen to it.
Yeah.
It's like my and the score's pretty chill. Like it's funny because the music is kind of like really cool and like just kind of laid back and like this kind of like weird dreamy pop thing that I just like loved it. It's like yeah, it's so good. I mean, everything is so good. That's why I feel like I'm like at 12. I'm just like, should it be higher? But it's like there's so many good movies because
Yeah.
Adam Sandler is great, as everybody said he was. He is like
Oh god, yeah.
it's crazy how it's almost. I think he said before, it's like you know I do a lot of. I think he's admitted he does his movies to go on vacations with his friends, which I guess props to him for being honest. But
Yeah.
it's like the guy can act, and I kind of wish he would do it more. Maybe he will now that he's getting older. I don't know. Um, but yeah, he's great, and he's like weirdly he's definitely not a likable character, but he's very compelling. I think is the way to put it. It's like,
Yeah, and it's like it's one of those things where he's not the most terrible person in the movie. There's certainly worse people. Like he you know, obviously has some things that people would, you know, turn their noses up at, but then it's like, you know, compared to a lot of other people in the movie, you're like, you know, he's not that bad. He just has his issues and makes dumb decisions.
yeah, and oh, especially near the end, there was a
Oh
time
my
I
god.
pretty much screaming at the screen, or it's just like, oh no, stop, please. But I think it captures that like I'm not a gambling addict. I don't know any gambling addicts, but from what I've heard about them, it seems like it captures that very well. That compulsion, like he just has to keep betting and keep going. So, I mean, yeah, it's something, and it really makes you care about. It's funny because some it's like one of my friends was like, "I've never cared more about the outcome of basketball games than when I was watching Uncut Gems." It's like it's really
Yeah.
invested in those. But yeah, it's very anxiety inducing. It's very stressful, but it's really well done. So
It's funny going back to the Adam Sandler thing, and with funny people. I remember, um, unfortunately, I am someone who reads like professional reviews, because there are a few people whose opinions I actually trust. And this was when Roger Ebert was still
yeah,
alive, and he did funny games, or funny people, and it was funny because I don't think he's ever been a fan of Adam Sandler movies. Like I think he said he likes Adam Sandler, but just, you know, like when you look at it as a whole, Adam Sandler doesn't make very good movies. Like yeah, they're entertaining and they're enjoyable, but as a whole, it's like, you know, these aren't very good movies. And he hit the nail on the head. He goes, you know, watching funny people, it makes you remember like, holy shit, Adam Sandler is a good actor. Like he can give a really good performance. He just never has material that can bring it out.
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's he was good in the Funny People. I kind of forgot about how good he was in that movie, but um,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's I just hope he does more stuff like this because he's good in it. So I think
Um,
he's got enough money. You think he could just do whatever he wants. You know what I mean?
oh god, no kidding.
So
Like Punch Drunk Love.
yeah,
That's a great
I
movie.
got to
That's
go
one of
back
my
and
favorite
I got to
movies.
go back and watch that movie because I've never actually seen it.
Yeah, that's yeah, definitely one of my favorite movies. And again, it's I think that was like his first real dramatic turn, and that was when it's a dark comedy, but I mean, more so it's kind of the same thing. It's pretty heavy handed. It deals with some heavy subject matter, but um, yeah, that was when I feel like people realized like, holy shit, he's a really good actor, and then we get Jack and Jill,
Oh God, the less said
which
about
I've never
Jack and
seen.
Jill, the better. I've only seen one clip from it, which was uh, well, actually kind of funny, but it's like a fake commercial. Like Al Pacino's randomly in it, and he
Mm,
has I think he makes up his own Dunkin' Donuts like chain called Dunkachinos,
oh
which is
god,
so stupid. But it's like everything else I've seen from it looks absolutely terrible. But just it's there's always like I feel like there's usually one good thing in Adam Sandler comedies, but most of it's like surrounded by just bad, crap. So
I honestly I gave up after Click. I despise that movie. It's so mean spirited, unfunny. Like and it's funny because it's actually one of his higher rated movies from users on IMDb, and I'm like, oh my god, like this movie's so mean. There's nothing
I
funny
only
about
saw
it.
it once in a theater, and I remember like thinking that it was better than most of his movies, mostly because it made
Mm,
me cry at the end. And I was like, "Damn you, Adam Sandler!
yeah,
Why am I crying?" But I don't think I look back on it very fondly. Like I think at the time it kind of fooled me almost, where just because it made me kind of sad at the end, I thought, "Oh, good job, Adam Sandler." But I mean, it's been for me, it's been pretty bad since Big Daddy back in the day. Like we like it's for me, I like Big Daddy, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, and I feel like everything else is mostly misses. Like I don't even like the
uh,
Waterboy that much. I don't like Little Nicky. Uh,
The Wedding Singer.
I do like the Wedding Singer. I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's probably his best one. That's out of his comedies.
probably
That's probably the top. Yeah,
yeah, and it's been downhill for a while. I think Little Nicky was really the turning point where I feel like it's been pretty bad ever since for the most part.
yeah.
So
Um, like I did like Grown Ups. As a whole, yeah, it wasn't very good, but it was fun because I feel like 95% of that movie was improv, was just Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, and all of them just riffing on each other, and that was funny. And the movie was just basically an excuse to get them all together to just tell jokes, and which for the most part they were very funny. So I was actually kind of excited for the second one, and the entire time I'm just like, I don't think I laughed once. I was like, oh my god.
yeah, I think the funny Grown Ups, the first one feels like the ultimate Adam Sandler took his friends on a vacation and shot a movie. You know what I mean? It's like, hey guys, let's
Yeah,
go hang out for the summer. And I think I saw Grown Ups 2 on TV randomly, and I thought it was horrible.
it is
I'm like, oh,
terrible.
like I think I turned it off. Like, oh my god, this is like anti-comedy.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, hopefully he does more stuff like Uncut Gems because it is really good. So
Yeah, I think now he might start ramping down and just being a little more selective, and hopefully, yeah, taking parts like this that are, and they don't necessarily have to be all dramatic, but just better material,
right,
So,
yeah.
um, that was number 12, right?
So you're 11, yeah.
All right. Well, okay, so no, number 11 for me was John Wick Chapter 3,
Oh,
which we already talked about,
yeah.
so we can move on to your number 11.
My number 11, I think maybe higher on your list. It is
Okay.
Jordan Peele's Us.
Yeah, we're not too far from it.
Oh, okay. Another movie that was a director's like sophomore movie that I feel like a lot of people were disappointed by, but I really liked it. um,
Yeah.
and you did too. It's higher on your list. So yeah, I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
liked it. I people were like, oh, it's like a real mess. Like he was too much. He was too heavy on kind of like trying to do this crazy world building and forgot about all this other stuff. But I loved the family in the movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody was great. Like I think you and Ash talked about this a little bit when I just listened to you guys and like Lupita Nyong'o. Hope I'm saying that right. And like
Mm-hmm.
Winston Duke as the parents like were great. I loved Winston Duke. Oh my god, like
Yeah.
that scene when he comes out. It's in the trailer, like with the baseball bat and just like
Yeah.
he's like such a big guy, but he like is kind of goofy. He's like, and he, you think he'd be able to like pick people up and like throw them across the room or something, but it's like he kind of just like a normal dad, which I think you might have mentioned about how he kept getting offers for like these big scary dudes, and he just like I just want to play a normal guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He nails like that, just like I'm a typical like normal jokey goofy dad, and like I just love their family dynamic. It felt very real to me. um like I thought it was like this nice kind of big crazy gamble that Jordan Peele took and like really took it to their level, like just where it goes and like the creeping. It's like it's not super scary, but it's got some creepy moments.
It's definitely very tense.
It is very tense. A lot of it's very tense.
Yeah.
God, that scene. There's a scene with Tim Heidecker, Tim and Eric, which kind of surprised me. He was in the movie, and
Hmm.
his family in their house that like kind of scared me because it was so sudden. You know, what I'm talking like so
Yes.
startling. I was like, oh crap, okay, what's going on? like, so it's still got plenty of that. I just like that it's like kind of this wild, crazy movie. Like once again, a director had a big hit, and he's like, oh, I can do whatever I want now.
Oh
so
God, yeah.
yeah,
And and it's funny when you look at it as a whole, it's actually kind of a simple movie in terms of it's just basically, you can just say, oh, this family gets is terrorized by their doppelgangers, and it actually turns out there's other doppelgangers, and that's really all you need to know. um it only dipped a tiny bit in the third act because it got very, very exposition
I was gonna
heavy.
say when they started explaining everything, that was probably my my main gripe too. I was like, eh. I mean,
And it's like it to me it would have been scarier had they not actually explained anything. If anything, they could have had uh, the others or whatever basically just say like, we don't know where we came from, we just know this is what we do, which I don't know. To me, honestly, that kind of would have been scarier. But again, I feel like he has to throw in his social commentary, as we all saw with Get Out. So I think maybe that was kind of it. He just wanted to throw his social awareness kind of thing in there, and but yeah, I feel like it's overall it's a subtle movie. Like I said, other than the very exposition heavy scene at towards the end. But other than that little dip aside, it's a thrill ride from beginning to end.
yeah, I just think it's really well made. I feel like he's getting better as a director too. And yeah, oh my god, I think I saw you mention this. I think on Instagram about the score, or at least how do they
Yes.
make I Got Five on it scary? It's like
Yeah,
it's so
man. Like,
good. Oh my god, I love that scene where they really used it in the movie too. Um, it's so effective. I just think it's just a super well made movie, and another guy I'm on board. Anything you do next, I'm there for it. So
yeah, I'm really excited to see whatever he has next. I would honestly like to see him do something very I guess like very Sam Raimi Evil Dead ish in terms of it's funny, it's scary, and it's all just over the top craziness. Like I would like to see him do that because I feel like Get Out and Us was a little more on the subtle side.
yeah, it's a little more like cerebral. I feel like he's a little
Yeah,
more of like yeah, he's not. I don't. I'd be interested to see him do gore now that you mentioned it. I'm really thinking about this idea of him like if he just went full out with like a crazy gory horror movie, how that would go. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
which this movie was definitely more. It was definitely bloodier than Get Out, but also even where he could have shown um, close-ups of like people getting stabbed or bludgeoned or whatever, he didn't. He either cuts away or it's the person getting killed, like where the wounds would be is like behind a door, and you don't, it's the things because he doesn't really need to show you that to make it scary, and just I don't know, I feel like that attests to how good of a director he is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's not directing that Candyman remake, right? He's just producing it, I believe. I don't know if you heard
He's
about that.
producing it. He might. I want to say he might actually be writing it, but maybe not.
He is okay. I looked it up on it. He is writing it. He's producing it. He's not directing it. A woman named Nia DaCosta, who I've never heard of.
Me neither.
Yeah, she would call Little Woods. Still never heard that either. So
That
that's nice.
kind of sounds familiar, but
He's giving like a new director a chance. Though that's pretty cool. Um,
yeah.
but I don't know what he's doing next. I haven't heard anything about like what he's planning on doing. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess. So
The kind of sad thing is I didn't watch the Twilight Zone, and I heard it's not very good.
yeah, I saw the first one because it was free on YouTube,
Mm,
and I didn't think it was that great. And I just don't like this whole thing about like putting things on streaming services like CBS All Access. I'm like, I'm never gonna watch that. It's just you know what I mean. It's like
yeah, and it's a little disappointing because I think it was on the Losers Club. One of the guys was saying that one of his friends or somebody he didn't like say what talk show that his friend worked for, but said he worked for a talk show and Jordan Peele was on that night, and I think he was kind of an assistant or something, and he had to go in the green room and ask like Jordan, "Oh, you need anything or whatever?" And he kind of asked him like, "Hey, like I'm really looking forward to the Twilight Zone, and Jordan was just kind of like, it's all right. And
Oh,
I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He goes, I didn't have a whole lot of involvement in it,
oh,
because I wasn't very involved with the writing or creating of it. So he's like, there's a couple things that are good, but it's just kind of eh. I was like, oh
wow,
wow,
wow.
but yeah,
Okay, another reason not to even check that to check that out.
yeah.
So, oh, that's disappointing. But yeah. So we were okay. My 11 was Us. So now we're in the top 10 now. So what is your number 10?
Well, top 10 we can just kind of skip right over because it's Uncut Gems.
Oh, okay.
So
We just talked about that. So I feel like now we're really gonna have a lot of crossover because I feel like we didn't have as much crossover as I thought for the beginning, but now I feel we have a lot of probably things where we match. So, um,
yeah.
okay. So Uncut Gems we talked about. So my number 10 is Knives Out.
All right, mine's a little higher, but all right.
So once again, a movie that I first thought, oh, this could be like my top three of the year. That's just how strong the year's been. That it's a
Yeah.
10. It kind of like when I mentioned like a movie similar to Ready or Not. I thought this was kind of similar to Ready or Not in the way that it's a lot of themes of like eat the rich almost. Like rich people being awful and like kind of just a movie I didn't know too much about. I mean, I'd seen like the trailer a few times, but I I was very surprised by the places it went.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely subverting your expectations of a normal whodunit, which I appreciated. um, and it's got the cast is insane. It's like top to bottom, great people. But I thought Ana de Armas as the lead was like really great. Like I loved her in that movie. So
I had actually never heard of her before. But yeah, I wasn't expecting her to basically become the main character at all.
no,
So
yeah,
that
I didn't
was,
see that one coming.
and yeah, she did really good. And this is actually the movie I was talking about when I said I heard who was writing and directing it. I heard who was in it and what it was going to be about. And I was like, okay, I don't need to see a trailer. Just you already have my money. Like I'm a fan of Ryan Johnson. I like controversial opinion. I really love The Last Jedi.
It's
Probably my
okay.
favorite of this new
I'm
trilogy.
with you.
So
Yeah, I might go Force Awakens a little bit higher, but I like them both. Um, but Last Jedi is really good. I don't understand the hate. I never will. I don't want to anger anybody, but I think he's a very good director, and he's made a lot of good movies. I don't know if you saw a movie called Brick that he made, like 2005.
it's been a while, but I do remember really
I
liking it.
loved Brick. I saw that when I was like, it came out probably right when it came out, so I was probably like 17, 18. I was in my big like uh like oh I'm a cinema fan phase like kind of my douchey cinephile phase and I was like oh I really love it. I love that he was using like old timey detective dialogue. um and that movie's kind of
Mm-hmm.
done it, so I was like oh he's kind of done mysteries before, so I'm kind of curious what he does with this, and he took in some very surprising directions, so
Yeah, and and it was actually a little more subdued than I thought it was going to be because the trailer kind of made it look like it was going to be a little more crazy in terms of
wacky I think. It's like,
yeah, and maybe not necessarily action scenes, but things happening. And this is just a very it's a very dialogue heavy movie with not like I think you stay in that house for three quarters of the movie, and even when you are in that house, not a whole lot is happening per se. Like
yeah.
I mean, obviously there's things going on to move the story, but it's yeah, it's more so just kind of storytelling, if
Mm.
for lack of a better phrase.
It's funny about that trailer and about like the action because there's a car chase in the movie that kind of feels like it's heavily put into the trailer. Like they cut it up so it's like kind of seems more action packed. And then it's funny because in the movie, it's a little mild spoiler. So someone gets out and goes, "That was the lamest car chase ever," or something like
Yeah, exactly.
that. It's just like it's not concerned with that kind of thing. It's like, and the trailer. I had some friends who it played a lot. Like I didn't want to see the trailer, but it kept playing before everything I saw. And like
Yeah.
a lot of friends I had thought it didn't look good, and I don't think the trailer was the best. I was going to see it based on who was in it and the director, but I do think the trailer was kind of bad. And it ends with that joke. It's like a joke I don't think is very good. It's in the movie. That like when Chris Evans says to Daniel Craig about like what is this CSI KFC? I'm like,
Oh
which is
yeah.
probably the worst joke in that movie, but they like tag the trailer with it. It's just,
Yeah.
but I mean, the trailer kind of misled me in a good way almost because I think it was even better than I thought it was going to be. So, um, so yeah, I just hope, and it's done very well, which is great because I hope Ryan Johnson keeps getting more chances to go do, original movies.
Yeah,
after
definitely.
the shit that he caught for Last Jedi.
Oh my
So
God, no kidding.
this is a nice redemption story. So
Yeah, and I was saying, I described it kind of terribly that it's almost a movie you don't necessarily enjoy it as you're watching it because you're just focused on keeping up with everyone's stories and you are kind of thinking ahead of maybe not necessarily where the story's going to go, but it's a who done it. So you're thinking like, oh, maybe it's this person, maybe it's this person. So you're kind of going through it with them. But once it's finally over, you're like, I enjoyed that. That was fun. You know?
yeah, exactly. And it's just the fun characters. I think it's a movie I've gone back and forth. I don't know if it'll do better or worse when I rewatch it because if you kind of know where it's going, I'm like, will it be as fun? Or is it just fun to like hang out with these characters and know where it's going? It's kind of I haven't seen it again yet, but I'm kind of curious if once the surprises are gone, if I like it less, or if it's still going to hold up pretty well. So,
And I was actually surprised how early on they kind of give you a big reveal.
oh
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, that was the part where I was like, huh, okay, we're doing something different here. Okay, it's like,
Yeah, that's kind of what sold me. It's like, oh, okay, well we're going in a different direction here, which is pretty good. So,
mhm. But
uh, that was your number. That
my
was your number 10, right?
yes, yeah,
All right. So, moving on to my number 9 is Jojo Rabbit.
I don't, I have not seen it yet. I think it's the one movie we mentioned I have not actually had a chance to see.
I mean, I became a big fan of Taika Waititi after Thor Ragnarok because sadly I'd never heard of him specifically, but like I had heard of What We Do in the Shadows,
Mhm.
but hadn't seen it yet. And after I learned that it was him, I was like, oh, okay, well I'll go back and watch that. And I watched it and it was hilarious. And I just kind of went through his back catalog. I watched Hunt for the Wilder People, which is probably what I would say is probably in my top 5 of the decade. It
Oh, it's
has to
great. It
be.
was in my
Uh,
pretty high for me that year it came out. I love that movie. Yeah,
yeah, it's and then the only movie of his I haven't seen is Eagle versus Shark. I haven't seen that
I haven't
yet.
seen that one either. Yeah.
Um, but I've been a big fan of his ever since. And I just really like him as a person. He seems very
Hmm.
genuine, and it's funny because one thing I listened to was he said he honestly just wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and he directed that short film that got him nominated for an Academy Award for like best short film. And he goes, that's kind of where the accolades started rolling in, and then he's like, well, I guess I'll just kind of continue this thing because apparently I'm good at it, or people are taking recognition of me because of this, so I might as well just keep the ball rolling. And look where we are now.
Yeah. Now that's another movie I feel like he made Thor Ragnarok this huge hit, and he's like, I'm gonna go make this crazy Nazi satire, Hitler satire movie. um,
Yeah, and it's I mean, not to I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but just it's another one of those ones that the trailer kind of misleads you. Not in a bad way. It's just unexpected because I'd say the first half of the movie is really funny, and the second half just kind of goes almost hardcore drama, and it's a downer. It's like
oh,
it gets really sad, but it's still very good. There's moments of comedy sprinkled in, and going back to what I was saying about Scarlett Johansson, I think this is honestly the best performance I've ever seen her give.
wow.
She's not somebody who like. I mean, I like her. I don't have a problem with her or anything. I've never seen anything that she's done performance wise where I'm like, oh yeah, she's a really good actress. Like I don't think she's a bad actress, but after watching this movie, I was like, you know what, like she turned in a very good performance. Like she was funny when she had to be, and heartbreaking when she had to be. Just she was hitting all the right beats, and maybe it's just the character she played, which was the little boy's mom. But yeah, she totally sold it, and I am surprised I didn't hear any more about her performance in that movie, which kind of bummed me out.
Yeah, and the weird thing with that movie is, so it's Taika Waititi. Everyone loves him. It just, I felt like the trailers like made it look good, but then I thought it was going to get universally praised. I felt like it came out and it was very divisive. Maybe because of what you
Yeah,
said with like how it's different tones. I don't. Some people really hated it, which I was shocked by. I mean, some people have loved it. Like I'm just looking at Letterboxd, and it's like 1 star or 5 stars. It's like there's just no like middle ground for some people. It's kind of weird. I was very surprised by that.
yeah, it's definitely not my favorite of his. It may not even be in the top 3 of his because well, okay, well if you want to throw Thor in there, then yeah, it's
Mhm.
probably not in the top 3. But if anything, it's easily sitting at number 4. But yeah, I'm glad that he even said, they asked him I think it was during the press run for Thor, and they were like, "Oh, like what's your next big movie?" And he was like, "Actually, it's a little movie I'm doing." He goes about Hitler, and the person kind of laughed, and he looks at the camera and goes, "That's just how we roll. It's one for me and one for them."
Hmm.
So and then I think the next thing he is doing is Thor, right? Isn't he doing Love and Thunder next, most
Yes,
likely?
I think so. I have not heard. I forgot about that movie actually.
Yeah, I don't think he can squeeze in another small movie before that comes out, because I think that comes out next year, or it's either next year or 2022.
It is next year. It's 2021, and he is directing
Okay.
and writing it. So
Oh, and writing it this
yeah,
time. I don't think he wrote the
I
first one,
don't.
which is so crazy because there was a lot of jokes in there that had his trademark on it. Maybe he was just on the day of was like, I'll just kind of throw this in there.
That one really felt like him. Yeah, there was a lot of his humor in there, which I really enjoyed because I just love his comedy. I just watched What We Do in the Shadows again, like a week or two ago, and I was like, I just love this movie. This is like a warm blanket movie. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
it's just great.
You just put it on, or you just sit there nice and comfy for the next 82 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, it's short too. You just like nice 80 minutes of fun, and you're done. It's like an hour. I will definitely see Jojo Rabbit when I get a chance. I don't know when it's going to come out. It was weird. Like, I think it rolled out really weird in theaters. One of those things where it's like it'll be out this date, but it's not going to be in my area until weeks later or something. It's like only in New York and LA, and I just kind of didn't get around to seeing it. So I'll definitely check that
Yeah,
one
my
out.
my local theater, the one that's like literally down the street from me, only has 7 screens,
Oh,
and so they and well, to me it's a small town. It's like 55,000 people. That's not very small, but the our neighboring city is like 600,000 people.
oh
It's
wow,
like
yeah.
like the fourth biggest in California. So that has a lot of bigger theaters. I think the biggest one is like 22 screens. That's usually where a lot of the smaller movies will go, is to that one. Which is why I was really surprised Uncut Gems was playing at my local theater. But then again, I feel like Adam Sandler might have put up some money for a little more distribution because he's got so much faith in this movie, which is why he's been promoting it really hard.
I think I just heard it's the highest grossing A24 movie yet, which is pretty impressive.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it. It was really nice to be able to sit in my small little local movie theater and see the A24 logo. I was like, yes. I
Yeah,
think the only one before this was Hereditary.
yeah. Usually I have to travel a little bit because I'm lucky I can usually find these movies, but sometimes it takes them a while to get to this area, or I got to travel a little bit. But usually I have to go more than 20, 30 minutes to go to a theater that I can see like A24 movie at or something. So, and we have our local art house theater, which is 20 minutes away from me. So
I
yeah,
would love to have a little independent movie theater here. That'd be awesome.
it's really great. I'm not trying to rub it in, but it is really great. Plus,
Yeah.
they do old school movies like probably almost every weekend. I feel like where they're showing like Ghostbusters or Big Trouble in Little China, or it's like all these great 80s 90s movies they're showing, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So
That would be really cool. Yeah, then so Jojo Rabbit I think popped up at the one of the theaters that's in the adjoining city next to us, and I think it was only going to be there for 1 or 2 weeks, and I saw that Showtimes had popped up like on my day off from work, and I was like, we're going. Like, I don't want to miss it.
mhm.
So, and I'm glad I did. Like, yeah, really
Yeah,
good.
I will definitely check that one out. So that was your number nine. So
Number 9.
my number nine, we've talked about it plenty, is Midsummer.
Oh,
So I have to
okay.
say I really loved it. I'm once again blown away that I was seeing that crazy ass movie in a like a theater next to Spider Man.
Yeah.
So yeah, just every Art Astor movie, I'll go see what he does next. So that's all I'll say about
All
that
right.
one. So
All right. Well, my number 8 we can just kind of breeze by too. I put Us at number 8.
oh, okay, this is gonna get real easy because I put my number eight is Booksmart, which we just talked about too.
All right. Yeah. See, now we're gonna kind of start grooving, except for probably the top, like maybe 3.
Mhm.
Um. So that was your number. That was your number 8.
Yeah. So now back to your
All
number
right.
seven. Yeah.
All right. So my number 7 is It Chapter 2.
Okay.
So if
Much.
you guys
Yeah.
want to know my in-depth feelings on that, there's almost 2.5 hour long episode. It's almost as long as the movie. So
There you go. Okay. So your number seven. My number seven is Doctor Sleep.
all right, mine's a little higher. So all right, let's get going on that.
I think we're both clearly huge fans. One of it's in our top seven. So
Yeah.
I loved this movie. Like I will just say, I knew I was on this movie the minute there was like a crazy sequence with Rebecca Ferguson basically like flying through the air almost.
Yes.
Where I was like, I freaking love this movie. Like,
Yeah,
God
right?
bless you, Mike Flanagan. Like, this is amazing. Like, I just, I'm gonna get mad about this one because I am so mad this movie bombed. Like,
Yeah.
I just looked up again today, like the box office on IMDb, to kind of see where it landed. I didn't make its budget back. Like, I think
Yeah.
in the U.S., it might have made it back with overseas, but it barely made anything overseas. And I cannot understand what Warner Brothers was thinking putting this out after Halloween.
Yeah, no kidding. They missed the mark on that
Blows
big time.
my mind. Like, I'm so like, oh, I love Mike Flanagan, so I'm really sad for him that he like, I didn't know he worked so much this movie. He wrote it, he directed, he edited it. He like he did
Yeah.
so much stuff, and he get almost nothing back after all this hard work. And it's such a good movie. And like, I just think if they put it out in mid October or early October, it could have made like double the amount of money it made. Because I feel like the problem is with like casual mainstream audiences, once October's done, they might be done with scary movies. So if
Yeah,
they see, and this
exactly.
was like a week after Halloween, so people were really like, we're scary movie out, you know?
Yeah, no
But
kidding.
like, I, oh God, it's no, you go ahead and talk. I'm still flustered.
Yeah, no, it's definitely when I didn't think it was gonna obviously do as well as like it or anything like that. Um, Especially being that they honestly, looking back on it, I don't think they tied the movie too heavily with The Shining. I mean, I get that the tagline was like the next chapter in the Shining story. Um, and you saw like the rug, and they kind of showed the hotel every now and then, but I mean, it feels like they weren't leaning too heavily on it. But also I feel like they maybe had to do it even more because
Yeah,
it's a sequel to a movie that's 40 years old at this
I
point.
guess people weren't getting that clearly enough, even though I thought it was pretty obvious that it was a sequel to The Shining. You know what I mean? It's like I
But
thought,
maybe we're just that big of fans and we already knew. So
yeah, it's hard. I sometimes feel like I'm in my own like movie nerd bubble where I just assume people know these things, and then I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
oh, they didn't know that because I can't remember what podcast it might have been Shockwaves where they were talking about how it failed and saying like kind of going over the reasons maybe it didn't do well because well, first of all, they put it out after Halloween.
Yeah.
They didn't push enough that it was related to The Shining, and then they also mentioned, which I don't know, that maybe more people aren't as familiar with The Shining as I think they are. Like, I don't know if a lot of teenagers know The Shining. I thought everyone knew The Shining. You know what I mean? I thought if you haven't seen the movie, you at least know some of the images because they're so iconic.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, it is 40 years old, like you said. I don't know. It's just a real like it's a head scratcher because I didn't think it was like a blockbuster, but I think it only made like less than 20 million its first weekend. I thought it'd make like 40, 50 its opening weekend,
Yeah, I think that's what they were projecting.
and it did terribly. I mean, it was kind of long, like 2.5 hours. Which, like I said earlier, it's like sometimes runtime they can't squeeze as many showings in, and people are like, "Oh, 2.5 hours, I can't sit through that."
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, man. Well, now things I love about it, I just think it's not quite what I expected because it's not as scary as you probably think it would be. I think most people, or not you, but people in general. But it was way more heartfelt and emotional than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
And I loved Ewan McGregor, and I am like in love with Rebecca Ferguson. like,
Yeah, she did a really good job in that movie.
man, I thought she was amazing, and I don't remember the name of the little girl in the movie. Not even that, she's like a teenager. I can't remember her name. I thought she was really good,
Yeah, I thought she did a really good job too.
and I just thought like he just directed the hell of that movie. Like Mike Flanagan just, I mean, I thought he just put it together so well. And it was a hard job. It's like, all right, I got to take this Doctor Sleep book, I've got to take the Shiny movie everyone's so familiar with, and kind of put them together, and kind of weave it all together. And he does a really good job of it, I think. So
Yeah, and merging the two stories to make them, because he had to merge the Shining and Doctor Sleep book into the Shining movie world, which are pretty different,
yes,
though they're executed very differently. And I feel like he definitely molded them together very seamlessly, and given with what he had to work with, he did a damn good job. Because there was a couple things in the trailer I remember seeing where I was like, I don't think this is in the Doctor Sleep book. I was like, so maybe he's doing something, and then I watched the movie. I was like, okay, like I see what he's doing here, and damn if he didn't do it perfectly.
yeah, it's just so. It's got kind of like it's more magical type quality than I expected. Like it's kind of got this crazy. I mean, when you say, I think you said put it on paper would sound kind of crazy. It's like kind of soul sucking vampires. I don't know what you would call them. Like that they,
It's basically what they are.
I
Yeah.
mean, so it's like, but he does all this stuff so well. The imagery is so good. Um, Man, there's a really horrifying scene about halfway through with a kind of, I guess, a surprise cameo from a very famous child actor that I was like, wait, is
Yeah.
that so and so? And I was like, what's he doing here? And I was like, oh, it's kind of like this
Yeah.
stuff hit. I mean, some of the stuff just hit so hard, and it's like the stuff with the alcoholism, with Danny Torrance's like alcohol addiction, like that scene really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, it's so many great things in one movie. Yeah, I'm so glad there's like a 3 hour cut coming out. Like I think this month.
Yes.
Um,
A couple weeks. Yeah, it's like the yeah, not next week, but I think it's the following week. It's either the second or third week. Yeah.
yeah, I'm all over that. So I mean, I just love it. I hope that eventually that it gets some kind of cult following over the years. I think it will, and people will come find it, and hopefully they will love it. So
Yeah. Hopefully, since it didn't do well at the box office, hopefully people will either be uh renting it like crazy, or buying the DVD and Blu-ray and digital like crazy. Hopefully, anyway, or at least have a slow build. Because I mean, there's always the whole Second Life on home video thing, and which I hope it gets, because I don't even think The Shining was a big hit when it first came out.
yeah, I was trying to remember. I think it did kind of well, but it's definitely gained a cult following over time. I mean, there's been plenty of like horror movies that have totally bombed and now they're classics. Like The Thing, I think is the best example. John Carpenter's The Thing
Oh yeah.
came out the week after like E.T. So it was like, do you want
Oh
like the fun
geez.
alien movie or the scary dark alien movie? And
Yeah. No
I mean, that's
kidding.
like the ultimate like total bomb. And now it's like regarded as one of the best horror movies ever made. So I don't know. Hopefully, Doctor Sleep finds a second life. I think it will. So
Yeah.
yeah,
This is my number
you're
six.
number six. Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't talk a whole lot about it because the entire movie is basically a spoiler, and it's El Camino.
Oh, and now I never watched Breaking Bad. I'm one of those weird people who's never watched Breaking Bad, and so I didn't watch this. But I saw people on Letterboxd seem like they were very happy with this and they loved it. So
It honestly did. In the end, it did just kind of feel like an extended episode. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It was very well directed, very well written. Aaron Paul gives a great performances. They give you some awesome little surprises along the way, and it was very it was a lot of it was very good fan service. And just yeah, Breaking Bad is probably my favorite drama series of all time. I've probably watched it from beginning to end at least 6 times now since it's
oh
ended.
wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Just the yeah. I mean, I my first episode of this podcast was actually going to be a Breaking Bad retrospective, but uh, I don't think I could condense anything down. It would just be like a 5 hour long episode of me just talking about it.
You'd be
So
like passed out by the
yeah,
end, just like
yeah, no kidding. I would not have a voice by the time I finished, so I kind of put that on the back burner. But yeah, just if you're a fan of the show, yeah, fan of the series, I think you will absolutely love the movie. But yeah, I actually really want to see Vince Gilligan do more uh, writing and directing, because I know Ryan Johnson actually directed probably the best episode of the series, which was the third to last episode. And I can remember watching that episode because the entire time my jaw was just on the ground, like from beginning to end, just for 55 minutes. My jaw just agape the entire time. And I remember even because it starts, the previous episode ends on a giant cliffhanger, and this one picks up immediately after that cliffhanger. And Vince Gilligan even said he even had to like argue with the like the Writers Guild or whoever to put the credits in after that opening scene, which was well over halfway into the episode,
oh,
and because he didn't want the credits to come up and distract from everything that was happening.
hmm
And so he had to argue with them to let him do it, and they finally gave in and let him do it. And it's crazy because it, to me, would have distracted, because that whole first half of that episode happens, and goes to commercial, and when it comes back, the credits start, and I was just like, oh, holy shit, we haven't done the credits yet. Like.
I love that in a movie sometimes when you have like a long opening scene and then you're like, oh, we haven't done the credits yet. Shit, it's like you kind of
Yeah, I
forget.
love that. I love
Yeah,
It's like a little just fun thing to spot in movies, and when you're like, Oh wow, we're just now seeing the title.
Right.
Oh my god, we're 27 minutes into the movie.
That's always fun. Yeah, I mean, I can't say much because I haven't watched it. I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but I'd say it's everybody I know because everyone is always pitching me TV shows to check out. I'm very bad at watching TV shows. I don't know what it
Mm,
is. Like, it has to either be, I start with it like right from the get go, like Mandalorian. That was very easy for me. I got with it from the beginning. They were like half an hour episodes. It was 8 episodes a season. I'm good. But like when someone's like, oh, go watch Dexter. And I look at it. I see 8 seasons. I see hour long episodes, and I see like
mm.
80 hours of my time where I'm like, oh god, like, and I think the way my mind works, I'm like, I could watch so many movies in 80 hours. Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know. It's just hard for me to commit to a TV show. Like I've started so many shows, and like, it's not even like they're bad. I just get distracted and don't finish them. But Breaking Bad, if there was like a top 3 shows I need to check out, I would put Breaking Bad probably near the top or at the top of that list because everyone has said it's amazing. So
Yeah, and I tell everybody who's never seen it before, I said it's one of those shows that it is very good from the get go, but comparatively, like to the first season, everything that comes after the first season is just top notch. Each episode is better than the last. The first season luckily got cut short because of the writer
oh
strike or whatever, so it's only 7 episodes of the ordered 13, which is a good thing because it's an introductory season, so you don't need 13 episodes to introduce us to the two main characters and what their overall goal is. So it definitely helped it only being 7 episodes, and then after that, I think it's all consistently 13 episodes until the final season is split into two 8 episode halves. Um, but yeah, that's about all I can say of the movie,
right, right.
which you can't even say anything about the movie really. So
But I mean, I saw a lot of good stuff about it. I just was like, well, I won't check that out because I haven't watched Breaking Bad. So I think it would mean,
yeah, it's
yeah,
may not be it probably will be incomprehensible because you're not going to know who any of these people are. So
yeah. Well, it's on Netflix, so I assume it'll be there like forever. So it's a Netflix original. So I assume if I do check out the show, I can check that out down the line. Um,
yeah, it would be kind of cool to be able to watch that for the first time and maybe watch. I would say maybe watch the last 2 episodes back to back, and then maybe watch the movie immediately after, or maybe like wait a week. I don't
and
know.
you know what the terrible thing about this is because that show was so big and so popular, I had the end spoiled for me. Like
Oh no.
basically the day after it aired because everyone was talking about it. I couldn't avoid it.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows, which I don't think would ruin the show, even knowing what happened at the end. I'm like, I mean, it sounds like it's a good enough show that you could still enjoy the whole ride.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, okay, so your number 6 and my number 6 is one we've already talked about a lot, which is Ready or Not. It's just
Okay.
probably the most fun I had in a theater all year. I think it was just a
Hmm.
blast. So, but yeah, we've already said a lot about that. So I guess what is your number 5?
My number 5, we also talked a lot about, and that's Knives Out.
Oh, okay.
Um, all right, so yeah, you're number 5.
My number 5 we've not talked about yet, which is The Irishman.
Okay, see, that was gonna be, I think Midsummer is the one that edged that one out. Which not because it wasn't good or anything, just it was good, but I don't know, it didn't blow me away as I was expecting it to.
Right. Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's classic Martin Scorsese from beginning to end. There's no denying that the quality is of the utmost highest.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's my number 5 now, which is pretty high. But it's like I've only seen it the one time, but I don't think I've stopped really thinking about it. It keeps popping up in my head, just things for the movie. Uh, since I saw it around, I think, came out Thanksgiving, and I think I've thought
Hmm.
about it like a bunch. So it really moved up. I'm like, that movie is just great. It's like I think it's this thing where Martin Scorsese is such a good director. He makes things look easy, and we take it for granted sometimes. like, and
Yeah.
all those actors are so good. It's almost like it's just people that are like some of the best we've ever had just doing this and making it look almost effortless. And it's kind of like the first time you're almost, it's not, I don't think it's like a blow you away type movie. I think it's one that like kind of sits with you for a long time. And it's more subtle than a lot of his movies. Like it's not as flashy as Goodfellas or Casino. It's way more like subdued in comparison. Um,
Hmm.
and I feel like, I know that was a big controversy. Talk about runtimes. Oh my God. I saw people like Twitter who were like, like here's how you break up Irishman. If you can't watch the whole 3.5 hours, people were like, "How dare you break that movie up? You watched it all in one city." It's like, how do you want to watch a movie? Just watch the movie. It's like, but
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it does feel. It felt long. I remember like I started watching it. I had to take a break because I had to go to dinner. I came back. I bought an energy drink. I finished it up, and it was like,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I got to finish this up. I mean, it was good. But I think it feeling that long really kind of almost as part of the experience because like you go through this whole life with Robert De Niro, and it's just the way it ends up. Like the last half an hour is like soul crushingly sad. It is just like, I mean,
Yeah.
what happens to everybody and where it ends up. Like the last shot has like stuck with me a lot, which I won't say what it is, but it's like I just it's kind of amazing like how he's done all these gangster movies, and this is like the almost like the part you don't always see, like them getting old and how sad that is. And like he's an older
Hmm.
guy. So I'm sure he's dealing with like his own mortality and things like that. And it's just like, I mean, everybody's top notch. I'm so glad Joe Pesci came back out of retirement for this. It's like
Yeah, no kidding.
Al Pacino's the best thing I've seen him in a long time because he does a lot of crap, and I feel like he does like a lot of
Hmm.
distracting movies, and sometimes he gets a little too Al Pacino-y. It's like where he's like hoo-ah, like it's a lot of like
Yeah.
it's a lot of like just him just being like I'm Al Pacino, which it kind of works in this because he's playing Jimmy Hoffa. Apparently, was a very over the top guy, so it's like but he's not really. It's not comical. He just is like kind of a big personality, which works.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I mean, De Niro is like the best thing I've seen him in years because he's been doing a lot of bad comedies, like Bad Grandpa, and it's like
Yeah,
I
no
feel like he's
kidding.
one of the best living actors, and like he can really act when he's in a good movie. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just so well made, and I get why people wouldn't be blown away by it, or why it's like I didn't really like it. It's really long, and but I do want to watch it again, but it's 3.5 hours, so it's like how often do I have that time? you know?
Yeah, you definitely, it's a movie you definitely have to plan out to watch.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. And yeah, he's still one of the best. Even I disagree with him on Marvel, but I respect his opinion. I'll say sorry before we get into that whole
Yeah.
that was crazy. That was a weird controversy. It's like Scorsese can't have his own opinions about things. It's like he's one of our best directors. It's like I kind of get what he's saying, but I disagree in a way. Yeah, I don't know how you felt about the whole thing, but it's
I mean, it's definitely he's entitled to his own opinion, which is fine. And I agree in the sense that he was saying going to a Marvel or superhero movie is like going to a theme park, but that's
that's
also
fun.
kind of the point of them. But
Yeah,
also the point of movies is to take you to another world, to for you to have fun, and for just to expand your imagination and things like that. And his movies can do that too. It doesn't have to be flashy, showy action and fantasy and whatnot. It can be something. It can be something like The Departed. Man, that totally takes you out of real life, and you are engrossed in that whole cat and mouse game. It just, it doesn't need to be showy. So I mean, like I said, I agree in the sense that yeah, he can have his own opinion, but to specifically label superhero Marvel movies as a theme park isn't totally accurate to me.
yeah. So it was kind of a strange take, but I just think it's funny because I think it might come up again with some picks higher up. So we'll
Yeah.
but yeah. So that was my number five. Irishman is it's a great movie. So yeah.
All right, and I'm sure we're definitely gonna talk about this one because we haven't talked about it yet. My number four is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, uh, yeah.
Um,
It's higher on my list. I'll say that.
that I was expecting it to be higher. Pretty much from four on, I really had to. I have definitely have reasons why things are the way they are on this one. So it's number four. I was expecting it to be I was actually expecting it to be at least number three, but I'll explain why in the next few. But yeah, I mean it's Quentin Tarantino. If you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, what's not to love? But I've said this before. To me, this is him doing a comedy film. I would label this a comedy over anything else.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think because there was some controversy. I think because the Golden Globes. I don't know if they put it in the comedy category or the drama. I think they might put in comedy. People were like, "It's not a comedy." I'm like, "It kind of is." I just rewatched it. I mean, it's hard to classify, but I think more than anything, it is a comedy.
Yeah,
Honestly,
you're laughing more often than not, I think.
yeah. it's a lot of things at once, but maybe comedy drama. Just call it, that's a thing. So just call it that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, definitely the last third of the movie is even the last third of the movie when it's very heavy-handed and brutal and violent, it's still funny. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's it's if, if you want to call it a dark comedy, you can call it a dark comedy, but it doesn't even get very dark, like I said, until the last third of the movie.
hmm
So,
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I was going to hold off on talking about this one till because it's a little bit higher. So
uh-huh.
I'll let you say your piece, and I'm going to just I got more I'll say, but I'll say it when we get back to it on my list if that's cool. So,
Okay.
um, so that's one. Anything else that you want to say about that right now, or just want to talk about when we come back around?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, it's Quentin Tarantino. You know what you're getting
Yeah,
in for. It's a long movie. The dialogue is great. The acting's going to be great. Um, I do think that Leonardo DiCaprio did do a very good job in this, but I think Brad Pitt edged him out in this one.
yeah, it's close. They're both really good. I think Brad Pitt might be, yeah, slightly better. They're very different kinds of things they're doing though. So
Yeah, definitely. I like a good example of the comedy in this movie is it's a very grounded movie, obviously because it's set in the golden age of Hollywood. But then there's a scene where Brad Pitt is walking towards uh, Leonardo DiCaprio's house, and all of a sudden just does a quick parkour. Like,
yeah,
where the hell did that come
that made me
from?
laugh
You know?
really hard the other day when it just I was watching it in that little part. I'm like, it's so random, but it makes me laugh. Like,
Yeah, it's just yeah, just it's little things like that. There's so much random humor in it. Um, but yeah, just they both did a good job. I am kind of bummed that they hyped uh, Margot Robbie in that movie so much when she honestly was not in it very much at all.
yeah, she's not. I have some thoughts on that.
Okay.
I'll hold off on those. I agree with you, but and the first time I saw it, I kind of was like, eh. But then a second time, I kind of saw it in a different way. But we'll come back around. So
All right.
that was your number four. So
That was my number four.
my number four is probably the one that the least amount of people have probably seen, and I really want people to go see this one. Well, not go see it because it's at home, but it's called One Cut of the Dead.
I still need to see that. That's on my
I
Shutter
think
watch
we
list.
talked about it, yeah, because I it's on Shutter. It's a Shutter exclusive, I'm pretty sure. Um, and Japanese film that I think technically, if you look at IMDb, it says 2017, but I mean, we had no way to see that till 2019. So to me, it's a 2019 movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, exactly. I
um,
mean, just because it was made that year doesn't mean it was released
yeah, I
that
think
year.
it
Well, it
played
was
some
over there, but not here.
festivals, and yeah, like so One Cut of the Dead is probably the movie that surprised me the most of anything this year because everybody kept talking about it, kept saying like, "Oh, it's a zombie movie, kind of," but I don't want to tell you anything else. Like nobody would say anything about it, especially if you listen to like Shockwave's podcast. They kept bringing it up, giving it like, but they wouldn't talk about it. It was like
Yeah,
the less
exactly.
you know, the
That's
better. And now that I've seen it, I totally see what they're talking about. It's kind of amazing. It's got like three distinct parts, like three distinct 30-minute chunks of the movie, and it's like starts off like a zombie movie, turns into something else where you kind of realize, oh, that's what's going on. And then the final third comes back, and you're watching it from a whole different perspective, something you've already seen before. You're seeing it from a whole different side, and it's kind of incredible. And by the end, I felt like I wanted to like stand up and like cheer. I was like, yeah, go, go, go. You're like, go, go, go. It's like got this energy of, I mean, there's a lot of it about filmmaking. It's a lot about filmmaking and like how much fun it is to make movies, how crazy it is to make movies, and like um, I wish I could say more about it. 'Cause I know people have probably not seen this one, but it's like it's a couple different things. You might think the middle section, I see people say it kind of drags, but the middle section is so great because it sets up so many things in the third section. Like so many jokes and so many little things are set up. It's like really just brilliantly put together. Um, and it's just such a crazy surprise, and it's just like so fun and like joyful. Like it's just like the most like delightful movie you'll see, especially the last third. I'm like just cheering. I'm like, yeah, yeah. It's just, I mean, it's hard to talk about, but I definitely recommend if you have Shudder, go find it. It's well worth your time. It's great. So
yeah. I've heard that first 30-minute chunk is all one take too.
yeah, I didn't mention that part. That's really impressive. That the first 30 minutes, you're like, oh, I'm watching this really cool like one take zombie movie. What's going on? And then it morphs into other things, and you're like, oh, that's what's going on. Like,
Yeah. See, I'm all for stuff like that, especially one takes too. I love watching stuff that only has one take, because it's just a feat of filmmaking, definitely.
Yeah, and even I was like watching it, like the second half kicks in, or second section, like, and you're kind of like, I'm kind of like, huh, okay, it kind of really slowed down, which kind of makes sense if you have like 30-minute fun zombie thing, and then the second section comes and it's just kind of all this backstory and setting things up. But then the way it pays off is so great that you look back. I think if I watch it a second time, I think I'd like that second section even more because I'm like, oh, that's where that came from, and yeah, it's, like it's
Mm,
just yeah, it's really really great.
damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm really gonna have to get to it now.
hope I'm not hyping up too much, but it's just like it's really something else. It's very unique. I've seen like nothing like it. Um, yeah, it's just wonderful. So
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things. Like, obviously from what you said, and then just like on the Shockwaves podcast, anytime they bring it up, they just have nothing but great things to say about it. So yeah, I definitely need to get to it. I have a few days off next week in a row, so I'm probably gonna. I've been making a list of stuff that they have actually recommended that I need to check off here pretty soon. Another one that I really want to see that I don't think is available anywhere yet because it might be finishing up its theatrical run is Parasite.
oh well, funny enough, that's going to come up very soon.
I I figured. I honestly thought that's what. For some reason, I thought that's what this one was going to be when you said not a whole lot of people have seen it. Um, all right, so
You're
we
number
can
three. We're in the top three
my
now.
number
So
top three. So my number three is Doctor Sleep. So
nice.
yeah,
Glad it's that
we've
high
talked
for
about that.
us.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So hopefully people see that when it comes out on Blu-ray in a couple weeks, and
yeah, no kidding.
please help Mike Flanagan out. I want him to make like a bunch more horror movies. So,
Yes, please.
so like I said, very soon. My number three is Parasite.
All
Getting
right.
right back to it. I am shocked this movie held up as well as it did because I saw it kind of late in the game after. I mean, it'd been hyped up for like a long time for me by like, I mean, it was like nonstop 5-star letterbox reviews where like another time people wouldn't talk about it either, but they would just like tease you with like, I don't want to say too much, but it's brilliant. And it's like, okay, I got to see this movie. um,
Yeah.
and it is hard to talk about because it's like, it's kind of like One Cut of the Dead, just in the respect that it's morphs into different things, not as drastically as One Cut of the Dead does, but it's a normal, straightforward movie. Like it's shot like a normal movie, but it's like different genres kind of keep popping up where you're like, oh, now it's funny, oh, now it's scary, now it's like a drama. What's going on? Like a
Yeah.
con artist movie. There's it's about class. Like there's all the stuff about like another kind of like you know get the rich people type movie.
Mm.
It's yeah pretty brilliant, and I saw it and totally lived up to the hype. Um, Another movie that I felt like I was laughing like a crazy person through most like parts of it. I'm not sure it was supposed to be funny, but it's so great because it constantly is surprising you, which is I love that in a movie so much when a movie's like constantly like I don't know where it's going. I mean, if we've seen a bunch of movies, you kind of know where things are going, but this one did not know what was going. It was like, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, no, it's like it's just craziness. So, um, yeah, but one thing I want to keep the thing going where I don't say too much about it. I think you just got to see it because it's an experience. So,
That's what I keep hearing. I'm really looking forward to it when it becomes available in some way.
it should be out on Blu-ray. I would think relatively soon, maybe in a couple months. I mean, because I think it's finished up its theatrical run. So, yeah.
I'm gonna assume it's gonna do its at least its digital thing here pretty soon. Um, yeah, on I was looking it up on Amazon. It just says pre-order and there isn't
No date.
there's no date. Oh, it says available. Oh, by January 14th, 2020.
Oh, nice.
So 2 more weeks. All right. Okay, so are we on to my number two?
We are, yeah. It's crazy. We're already at number two.
Okay. This is actually the one I've been wanting to talk about the most, but also I can't say too much about it. I had heard a lot about. Oh, I haven't heard a lot about it, but I just heard it was getting very good praise, and just the actors were all really good, just all around good things, and it was a really like nice light movie, but still very good. And that's the Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh, I had another one that yeah I missed, but I've heard like nothing but good things about. So,
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf does a great job. Dakota Johnson does a great job. The guy who he's mentally challenged in real life and in the movie,
mhm.
obviously, he actually did a really good job too. And just yeah, it was one of the blurbs on the Blu-ray box. Like it just says like the cutest movie you'll see all year, which to me like yes, it's true. It is kind of a cutesy movie, but that to me kind of downplays that it does have a few serious issues in there. Like they use the R word a few times, and Shia LaBeouf is quick to defend. I can't remember his name in the movie now, but is quick to defend him anytime somebody says that word. And just yeah, overall, it's a very heartwarming movie. It's very funny, and it's a breezy like 90 some odd minutes, and just yeah, it's a very good movie. I was wanting to put this as my number one because for that reason, just everything about it I love, just all great. But I'll explain why my number one is my number one uh, more in depth when we get there. So
Mm. Okay, yeah, I really got to make that one a priority to see because I think it's out now anyway to watch, like Blu-ray and digital. Um, I think because everyone's told me it's like it's just delightful is the word everyone keeps using. So,
yeah, and that was another one where I got off work and I went to the Red Box and I saw it was there. I was like, oh cool, I've been wanting to watch this. I'm gonna get it, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, it was, 2 days later, I just went and bought it.
oh, nice, wow.
Yeah.
I got to use Redbox more. I almost forget about Redbox, and then it's even cheaper than renting digital. I think almost all the time. I think because it's only like a buck or two, and some digital is like $3 or $4. So
Yeah, I think a Blu-ray is $2.
yeah, I really got to. I just forget. I'm like, oh yeah, Redbox. I don't know. It's like, but
Some cities they do 4K Blu-rays, but not here.
oh yeah, I don't think I've seen those yet. Whenever I do go, I think it's still just Blu-ray. But I'll check that one out. And that's your number two.
That's my number
And I
two.
think my number two is probably going to be your number one. So let's see.
Okay. All
My
right.
number two is Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
So, mm, I mean, what else is there to say? It's like it's the biggest movie of all time. I can't believe Marvel pulled this off after 10 years of plotting this whole thing out, and that it actually you know came together.
Just paid off as well as it did, and I feel like it was probably the best it could have been.
Yeah, I mean I was blown away by it. Because I just how it all came together, and I've been like a comic book nerd, like Avenger, and like a big Avengers fan specifically. So I was like a little kid; they were always my favorite comics to buy. And I was thinking when I saw this, I was like, if my 10-year-old self could see this happening, I think he would like his head would explode. Like I don't think I could have never imagined it being like this big and this amazing and like sorry, Mr. Scorsese, it is cinema. That's what I said.
Yeah, right.
But the moment, like, man, talk about goosebumps. When Captain America finally gets the Avengers Assemble, I was just like, this is what it's all been about. I'm like, yes,
Mm.
like, just so many feels, so many nerd out moments. Like, I just love this thing. Like, I get people want to be tired of like the superhero thing, or I mean. But comic books mean a lot to people, especially if they're younger. Sometimes it's like and to see it happening and done with such, I feel like kind of respect and done so well is really nice actually. So it's just like I really the whole time I was like I cannot believe we've done this. We're here. This is amazing. Like it's epic. I like it's kind of everything I wanted it to be because after Infinity War, which I also loved, but that really feels um like that's part one. It's one part of a whole. It's almost like it is a complete movie, but it's kind of feels like it's very incomplete without Endgame. You know what I mean? It's like I can't imagine now if I pop on Infinity War, I couldn't watch. I'd have to watch Endgame right after. like
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
wouldn't be satisfied with just that. So I like to see more than that. It's kind of incredible. I don't know what to say about it. I'm sure everyone has seen it because it made like $2 billion. So
Yeah.
I just loved it.
And the crazy thing is, apparently, Infinity War was supposed to end with this scene in Endgame when they go to I can't remember the name of the planet now that Thanos is on. After that scene, after uh, Thor,
Oh yeah,
cuts
yeah.
his head off. Apparently, that's which when you watch it, it almost seemed like an ending in a way. That the way that scene ends,
Yeah.
it feels like that could have been an
Now
ending
that
to
you
the
tell me
movie.
that, and now I'm picturing it, I'm like, oh, that would have been crazy.
Uh,
I'm glad they started like that because that was also another example of like the title pops up, and I'm like, oh shit, we're just doing this now. like, you know, um,
yeah, it doesn't show up for a good like
I
what
mean,
18 minutes in the movie.
yeah, like very surprised how they played that. I really like that was surprised. That was a good call to me. I'm like, ooh, I like that you played it like that, and then it's kind of like that's our jumping off point. Like, wow, I didn't expect you guys to do that. Like, so I got audible gasps in my theater for sure.
Oh, oh God, yeah. Yeah, and it would have been cool to see. I mean, both either way, Infinity War would have ended on a downer, whether we got the
Yeah,
one we did get or how they originally had planned it to end. But they said they decided to tack that onto the first part of Endgame because just for pacing reasons. Because I feel like then Endgame would have started a little wonky, maybe.
it's true. Yeah, it's almost like you get your feet back underneath you for a little bit, and then they kind of cut it out. It's like, oh, now we're
Yeah,
back here again. Then we're doing a time jump, and it's like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's hard to talk about. It's such a big movie. I don't even know what else to say. I mean, I feel like all that's been said has been said, and just I don't know where Marvel. I kind of am excited, but also not like nervous about where Marvel goes from here. But I'm not really sure how they. I almost feel like they peaked. You know what I mean? I'm like, how do you ever get back to
hmm,
this point again? This might be like the top of the mountain, and it's only kind of like can go down from here. But also on the other hand, I think they can do some really crazy stuff from here on out. Like I think the next Doctor Strange movie is supposed to be like a straight up like they're saying it's like a horror movie, which is
yeah, which has got me really excited.
yeah, very intrigued by that one. I mean, the next Thor is probably going to be even crazier than Ragnarok. Um, what's the other thing? Eternals seems like it's going to be kind of like out there and weird. Like, so I
Hmm.
feel like Marvel's going to just get weirder in the next phase. Or it's just like, well, we made all the money in the world. We can get weird now. So
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, to keep this going, keep the steam going. Number one, it for me is Endgame, um, and that is because as a whole this year there was no better. Shit, probably this decade there was no better movie going experience I had than going to see this movie. Like you said, being the culmination of 10 years and 20 movies, it was it was an event. Like it was an
yeah,
event filmmaking. It was an event film watching experience. I think I saw it 3 times in the theater. So the first time was just it was amazing. Everybody laughed where they were supposed to, cheered where they were supposed to. You said gasping. They all did it where they were supposed to. Um, and that's why it's number one for me is for that reason. Just I've had no better time at the movie theater. I think probably ever. The first time I saw it was probably the best movie going experience I've ever had. So even the Russo brothers said that the spoiler ban is lifted. And again, if you
hmm
haven't seen it, that's on you. Towards the end, when you find out that Cap is worthy, that
oh my
reveal,
god, yeah,
I got such huge goosebumps. I had the biggest like cheeser on my face, um, and like I might have like straight up applauded. I don't remember. There were so many emotions, and
it's
then
all blur.
yeah, it's all blur. And then of course the whole portal scene. Everybody
Oh,
was cheering, going crazy. Cap saying, assemble. Everyone lost their shit and cheered. And then you get that basically like splash page shot of all of them running.
my god, yeah.
Everybody like damn near stood up and cheered. Like it just, yeah, like I said, it was an event. It was like going to a concert because everybody was taking part. You were all there experiencing it together and just,
That's a good
yeah,
way to put it. It
it's,
is more like a concert than a movie because it's like I feel like it's people like screaming and yelling and clapping and like just everyone's it's like a big community event. Everyone's there. It's like I mean, people of all ages. I feel like it's like little kids to older people, everybody in between. It's just like these are crowd pleasers, which again is shocking to someone who like even in like the 90s, like superheroes were like getting cooler, but they didn't get a good movie till like X-Men and Spider-Man came out around 2000, 2002. Like uh, before that, super movies were like never, I mean, Batman did well and like Superman, but those are like 10 years apart in different decades. But like
yeah,
now it's like, it used to be like, oh, don't put the X-Men in their normal costumes. We got to have them all wear black leather. And now it's like everybody's like nerding out on like the specifics of like, oh, he's wearing that suit. It's like we're over that basically. I feel like superheroes are cool and mainstream, which is still very surprising. Like, um,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's just like it's a great experience, and that's like the whole thing. I mean, back to the Scorsese thing, I was kind of joking, but it's like I have room in my life for both kinds of things. I have room for like Marvel stuff and like very small weird stuff, like The Lighthouse and The Witch and just like weird movies like that. Like I can have both. I don't want one or the other. I don't want superhero movies to go away, but I don't want only superhero movies. You know what I mean? I don't only
Yeah.
want big budget spectacle movies. I kind of want everything. Um, and I think from the list, I feel like cinema's definitely not dead, as everybody was like, oh, it's dying, cinema's dying, it's all superhero movies. It's like this year was great. There's lots of weird and smaller movies like made by like directors with their own vision, like Uncut Gems, Knives Out, Midsummer, Booksmart, Irishman. It's like all this stuff where it's like we still have great movies, guys. It's not like it's all superhero movies all the time. Like, so I think that's kind of like alarmist to be like, oh, movies are dying. So I'm here for
Yeah,
all.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and and like I told you after you saw Uncut Gems as a perfect example, I told you there was a part near the end where something happened, and I didn't intend to, but I just yelled "fuck" in the movie theater because I knew something was gonna happen. I knew it was coming, and it did. And I was like, afterwards, and surprisingly, because I wouldn't think people in the town I live in would really be into that movie, and I feel like there was a good 30, 40 people in there, which actually really surprised me.
Yeah, ours is pretty packed on like a Sunday night that I went, and I feel like the buzz and it's Adam Sandler thing that's gotten people to go see it.
Yeah,
But I
definitely.
did see it. The funny thing, I saw an article about how it has like a bad cinema score, which is the thing they do. People leave the theater, they poll people, and it's like not grading well with people because I think it's not really a crowd pleaser. You know what I mean? Like by
Yeah,
the way
no.
it ends up. So, but people are going out to see it, but then they're like, I didn't like that. So,
Which I feel like Adam Sandler and them are probably like, I don't care. You paid for the ticket. We're
yeah,
good now.
there's a lot. They were saying like maybe it's a lot of Adam Sandler fans who are used to seeing him as one way, and this is almost too much for them, or some. They didn't expect this, which I'm like, how do you not expect this? Because I mean, did you watch a trailer? Did you see Adam Sandler's name? You come to the movie.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's
It's
a
like there was
little.
not a whole lot of funny bits in the trailer, like at all.
Yeah, I guess once again though, the movie bubble that I guess I'm in, I think some people do just go to the movies very randomly, and they're like, oh, an Adam Sandler movie, let's go, and they don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I mean, I think everything's good. I think like this year was a great year for movies, one of the best of the decade, if not like the best. I mean, I have to go back and look at every single year, but it's I thought it was great. And do you have anything else to say about Endgame, or should we move to my number one, or that was going to just segue from
No,
there?
I think that's it for Endgame. I'm really curious to know what your number one is now.
Well, it's the one I was asking to hold off on, which is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Which is
Oh,
yeah,
duh. I
yeah.
knew we hadn't heard that yet from you.
That's why you were kind of like, okay, okay. And it's like, yeah, well, first thing, the fun of this movie is that it would have been probably much lower on my list if I hadn't gone to see it a second time in a theater.
Hmm.
It went from like an 8 or something to like a 10 out of 10. Like I just the second time, everything clicked for me with that movie. Um, I don't even know where to start. I'm going to start gushing about this movie, but it's like, so first of all, I'm like a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. Like
Yes.
I mean, since I was like for 13, 14, and I saw like, I think it was Reservoir Dogs first or Pulp Fiction. I can never remember. He's the person that got me into like all kinds of different movies. Like, just the way he talks about movies. So it's like I've been a huge fan since then. I've really liked all his movies. The only one that didn't really work for me at first is Hateful Eight. Um,
Yeah, I can see that.
but I didn't think it's even bad. It's almost like it's just good. Everything else is pretty much great. And uh, Once Upon in Hollywood, just like I don't know what it is about this movie. It's like I just watched it again on 2 days ago, and I just was like, yeah, it still works. I love it. It's like everything, every performance, every little nuance. I mean, he like talk about like the opposite of Avengers Endgame. And no offense to Endgame, this is like handcrafted by Tarantino for like a specific
Hmm.
time, a specific place. He went and like as far as to pick out commercials that would have played on the radio at that time in 1969. It's like that level of detail that only I think he'd be allowed to do at this point. Maybe him and Scorsese could like get away with this kind of thing, but it's like just the kind of like like detail the whole thing and like Brad Pitt. It's one of the best things I've ever seen him do. Leonardo DiCaprio. It's one of the best things I've seen him in. And I realized when I made a top 10 of the decade list, I think DiCaprio is probably my actor of the decade because between
Yeah.
and Inception and Django and Wolf of Wall Street, and probably forgetting some Revenant, he's great in that. It's like all these movies, he's great, and he's really great in this. And Margot Robbie, which you mentioned earlier, which I want to come back to. The first time I saw it, I was like you. I was like, oh, she's supposed to be like hyped up as a big part of this movie, but I feel like she's kind of like sidelined. But when I watch it the second time and the third time, it was like she's really like feels like the heart and soul of the movie because it's just like it's a lot of her not even speaking. It's just like her just kind of embodying like like it just happy hopefulness, like like that
Yeah.
era, like and you just I kind of like fall in love with her. I mean, not because it's just Margot Robbie, but it's like just in general, like the way she plays it, like the way she watches herself. She goes in to see her movie that she's in because she's playing Sharon Tate, and goes in to see her own movie kind of randomly and like puts her sunglasses on like it's really cute. She's like, don't recognize me. But it's like and kind
Yeah.
of like just puts her feet up and watches the movie. And like I mean, that scene where it's like fell in love with her the second time, I was like, oh, it's like I think Tarantino just wanted her to kind of embody the spirit of Sharon Tate because I feel like the way it ends up, I won't I guess I mean, should I spoil the ending or kind of
I mean, she doesn't meet the same fate in the movie as
yeah,
she does in real
I will
life.
say that. So the way it and the
Yeah.
way she plays it, you don't want to see anything bad happen to her. You're like, oh God, no, it's like
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think I heard on another podcast that I don't listen to the Pure Cinema podcast at all. They're actually
Mm-mm.
associated with Tarantino owns a theater in LA called the New Beverly,
Mm-hmm.
and they had somebody on there who like works with Tarantino. I think it's like his assistant or somebody, and she was saying like Sharon Tate's sister saw the movie and like cried and was like, "Thank you for giving her this happy ending that she never got to have." And it's like that kind of took on a whole new, because I think people crapped on her for like people were like, "Oh, she didn't do anything," but I think Tarantino like kind of loved her so much he didn't want anything bad to happen to her, and like he makes you feel the same way, and kind of, I'm kind of happy that we got this happy ending. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
goes off of it. So I just find it really beautiful the way it ends up, and like it's funny because right before this little nice ending, it's like you mentioned a little bit earlier that crazy, chaotic, kind of cathartic thing that happens in DiCaprio's house with Brad Pitt
Mm-hmm.
is such an insane scene. Another time where like this crazy violence, me and my friends were like hands on our head, like what the hell is going on? Like this is so over the top. I mean, and then yeah, it just see now I'm just gushing. So yeah, you want to jump in?
Well, no, no, just again with the whole, it doesn't need to be a Marvel or superhero movie because during that, I mean, yeah, I was laughing the whole time the movie, but yeah, that last third when shit just goes off the rails, I was yelling. I was like, oh Jesus, like oh shit, like just getting visceral reactions because that's what good filmmaking can do, and it just that was a perfect example. You went through all the motions. It was funny, and then it just went so crazy. But then, like you said, you really felt for Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, and just the characters in general. I mean, yeah, like Cliff and um, Rick, may not have been the best of people, but you still like them enough, and just yeah, it's definitely a master class when it comes to filmmaking. That is for sure.
Yeah, and as somebody who's a huge fan, it's my favorite thing of his. I'd probably put it second only behind Pulp Fiction, and he's made a lot of great movies. So that's like like
Yeah, it's really hard to rank his movies. I mean, Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie in general.
me too. Yeah.
Uh, and it's crazy because I remember I saw that in the theater when it first came out. I was
Oh my
5. I
god.
don't know why. I don't know why I was allowed to see it. I'm sure I didn't understand what was going on, but I do remember nonetheless still being kind of like stuck watching all the craziness that was going on, and then like I'm surprised I was never turned away from like R-rated movies unless of course it had like nudity or something like that. Um, but yeah, just ever since then that seed got planted for my love of Quentin Tarantino. And there's I think I the only reason why I would say Jackie Brown is at the bottom of my list for him is just because it's his most um straightforward movie. It's just
Mhm.
a it's just a little, I don't even know if you would call that a caper type of movie.
It's a very
Um
simple like con movie. Like it's very
Yeah,
straightforward. The crime is not even that elaborate that happens. Like I think he shows it from like three different perspectives, but it's fairly simple. And for a long time, Jackie Brown was my least favorite too. It's funny you mentioned that. And I feel like that movie. I think I saw it when I was like 15. Didn't appreciate it at all. Watch it like maybe 10 years later, my mid 20s. Liked it a little more. Just watched it again like maybe this year or last year, and I feel like it got even better. I think it gets better as you get older. It's also about like
yeah,
two older people falling in love, so it's like
yeah, that's true. And yeah, by no means is it a bad movie. It's still a great movie. Just he's got so many. I don't even want to say not necessarily better movies, just movies that are just so unique. You know.
definitely is least flashy. And it's like this one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think it works better on multiple viewings because the first time you're kind of like looking for plot and all this stuff, and it's really more of like what they call like a hangout movie. I think it's a Tarantino stuff
Yeah.
because you're just watching their day to day. It's like that's the Margot Robbie thing. It's like she's just doing simple things like I'm going to buy a book, I'm just driving around. Like, but if you love the characters, you don't care. It's like or the actors, just watching them just do random things like in their day to day, like watching DiCaprio act on that Western, it's like, and him kind of
Yeah.
like figuring out like, oh, I can act. I kind of want to just act and not be like a movie star. And then Brad Pitt's crazy little adventure with the Manson family
Yeah.
at the ranch. It's just like, so I think that's why we're better for me the second time too, is I was kind of knew where it was going story wise and just kind of sat back and enjoyed it for um, just hanging out with characters, just watching them do stuff, just spending time with them. And yeah, just, I don't know, everything works for me. The music, everything like just comes together as like this really, I don't know, like fully realized vision. And it's kind of funny because I think he's supposed to make one more movie. I know he says he's gonna make 10 movies and this is his ninth. I kind of thought this would have been like the perfect ending to his career. Like the way it ends, it kind of feels like this almost should be the end. I don't want it to be the end, but it kind of feels like it should be. So
Yeah, and even the movie ends on kind of a you feel like you're about to start another scene, and all of a sudden, you get the well, actually, it doesn't start with written and directed by. It says the end. You're
mhm.
thinking like, oh, we're about to go into another scene, and then it says the end, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, apparently we're done with this, and not in a bad way. It just you were like, that's it. Hey, told my story, and we're done. It's just kind of like, okay, all right, you
Yeah,
know.
it gives you this great
Um,
like moment of catharsis with
yeah,
that you didn't get in real life, and that made me so mad. It was like there's a critic, Owen Gleiberman, who's been a critic for like a long time, like Entertainment Weekly, and now I think he writes for like Variety. God, he sucks. He's like he's so like contrary for the sake of being like contrary, and he did this stupid. I don't understand this logic where he's like he put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on his best of list, but then put the last like 15, 20 minutes on his worst of list.
oh my
Like
god.
you're such a pretentious douche. Like
Yeah,
so
no, it's one or the other, dude.
it's like that last 15 minutes works so well because I don't know. I just was like, thank God these people are awful. Like let's rewrite history to be this instead of what actually happened, and we can do that with movies. Which is like I like what he did in Glorious Bastards. It's like oh, in his reality,
Hmm.
we can kill Hitler. Good. It's like like we can correct horrible things. Yeah, because it's a movie. We can do whatever we want. So it's just funny because I feel like this is Tarantino. I feel like remembering like a time in California when he was a very little kid, like I think 5 or 6, and it's just so like you can tell he's like in love with it. Like he just it's like
Oh
it's like
god,
how
yeah.
Paul remember things. We're little kids. It's like so much brighter and better, and just so great. And it's like it just comes through so much. And I don't know. I just like I said, that second viewing definitely helped me enjoying the movie because I was like it probably would have been closer, like middle bottom of my list after the first one because I was a little disappointed. But then I saw it again,
Hmm.
completely just changed it for me, and I fell in love with it. So, and it's probably one of
Yeah,
my movies of the decade, honestly. So,
yeah. The more I thought on it, the more I liked it. Because initially I walked out and was just like, all right, well that was good, but I don't know if it was as good as I was expecting it to be. But then I thought more and more about it. I was like, you know what? I see what he was trying to do, and he did it well. And it kept getting better and better the more I thought on it. And real quick because we kind of talked about it earlier, Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained should have been his first Academy Award win. He didn't even get nominated, which pissed me off.
yeah,
That should have been his first win. Not that he didn't deserve it for The Revenant. That's fine, but it should have been for that because he was terrifying in that movie. He needs to play more villains.
yeah, and just so weird. I feel like it's just so.
Yeah.
I love that performance every time I watch Django. I like it more and more because he's just like I don't know. It's just such a crazy, weird performance, and he's like, but he's so good. He's also scary. He is like menacing though, and has these bursts of like, anger, and it's like, oh, this guy's friggin' nuts. It's like, um,
It's
yeah,
yeah, he'll have those outbursts, but then all of a sudden immediately just go kind of right back to calm and
it'd be kind of
but
charming.
still menacing.
Weird.
Like not even like, oh, this guy's crazy. It's just like, oh no, like he is somebody to be terrified of.
Yeah, it's wild. And then like I thought he was amazing in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh yeah,
It's in a
definitely.
3 hour movie where he's like, I mean, it's very well made. It's Scorsese, but I feel like he kind of carries it. He's through the whole thing. Like he just that's a great performance too. I mean, he's had a bunch, like I said, just in this decade. So, and it's funny because I liked Revenant a lot when it came out. Haven't thought about it much since, honestly. Like, haven't rewatched it. I'm glad he got the Oscar, but just not like a fun rewatch movie. So,
Yeah, no, that's a once every few years thing. I think I watched it the first time it came out on digital, and I don't think I've seen it since, but I might be due for a rewatch.
yeah. Well, we did it.
We did it. Almost we catching up to the runtime of Endgame at this
Yeah.
point.
So I just want to ask you before we fully wrap up, did you have any honorable mentions that you didn't get to mention? Or
Like I said, I'm surprised that I didn't have as hard a time picking movies. I honestly, like I said, I went through the list of movies released this year that I saw, and I kind of threw almost all of them on there. There was a couple I knew I was like, nah, I don't need that one on there at all.
mhm.
But like I said, I still only came out with like 23 of them. I cut out Pet Cemetery. That was I was one of the few that liked that. I liked that adaptation of it. But it wasn't one of my favorites of the year, so that didn't go on there. Um, like I said, I was really am bummed that I didn't put wasn't able to put Rise of Skywalker on there, but that might be an
Yeah,
episode later.
it's a mess. I mean, like I had fun with it, but my God, is it like a crazy like a crazy mess. Like I feel like especially the first like 20 minutes I was like, holy crap, movie, slow down. Like calm down. Like it's
Yeah,
all over the place. It's like edited like someone is like on speed or something. It's like it just feels like a real mess, and it's kind of sad that it kind of ended kind of anticlimactically because I've liked the trilogy up to that point. So,
like one of the things that really pissed me off is they make you believe for a whopping 2 minutes that a main character is dead.
uh,
You know, like they don't even give you time. You're just like, oh no, that really sucks. Oh no, they're not. We're fine. It's like they didn't give you any
I was
time
really
to.
sad about that. That's the funny thing. When that character died, I was like kind of mad and sad and pissed. I felt like I was like, "You sons of bitches!" And then, like you said, it's like 2 minutes later. It's like, "Oh no, he's okay."
Yeah, like
Fine.
yeah, like I said, no time to be upset about. Like they, if anything, they could have waited like 20 minutes and
Yeah.
giving you a big surprise. Like, oh shit, no, they're not. But
Basically,
yeah,
the
like
next scene, they're like, "Oh no, we're just kidding."
yeah, like come on, you could have dragged that out for emotional torture there.
And looking through my
But
list, yeah,
here's looking forward to
yeah,
hopefully another good decade. There's lots of good stuff coming that we just already know of for just like the 2 years that we already know of for Marvel, and obviously we know Jordan Peele's going to be doing more stuff, and I think there's lots of good people to look for. You know, like that were already on this list, like Ari Aster and Ryan Johnson and Mike Flanagan. Like there's so many good people that I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next.
yeah. I feel like we've got a lot of good directors who are working. I just hope they get to keep making like cool, like kind of out there movies. You know what I mean? Like, or they
Yeah,
get in like big studio movies and they make good big budget movies. Like, I hope that happens too if they want to go that way. I kind of feel like we're at the end of like the end of the '90s. Like '99 was like a really good year for movies, and there was like a lot of like talented filmmakers coming up, and I kind of feel like we're almost in that kind of era again. Uh,
yeah, definitely.
so yeah, I'm excited. I would say one movie almost made my list. It was almost 19. I almost swapped it. Did you see Annabelle Comes Home?
I didn't because I didn't like the first one, and I don't think I ever saw the second one.
And I don't, what's funny? I'm not even sure if you need to even see the other two to enjoy Animal Comes Home. But it's like, it's super fun. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was at all. And it's almost like a crazy Goosebumps Are You for the Dark episode where it's
Oh
like
wow.
three girls. One of them is the daughter of, oh God, what's the name of Vera Farmiga and
Oh, Ed and Lorraine
Yeah,
Warren.
their daughter is like left alone with the babysitter and the babysitter's friend. It's like three girls in a house, and like they let Annabelle out and all the scary crap in their like their room, and it's just like it's like a crazy like just a goosebumps. Sorry for the dark thing. It's just like really fun. A lot of different like creatures and scares, and like I just had a really good time with it. I was very surprised by it. So.
Oh wow, I didn't know that those characters were that involved in it. Even if, because I feel like they're probably not in it a whole lot, right?
Oh, Ed and Lorraine. No, they kind of
Yeah.
pop in at the beginning and the end. It's kind of it does feel like a TV show. It's like oh these characters come in and then they it's an episode where they leave and the kids are at home alone and like crazy stuff happens. And I think somebody called it like they wish they was called like Annabelle's like scary sleepover party or something because it just has I don't know. It's just like it's very fun. I know people were burned by the first Annabelle movie. Which wasn't very good. And
I heard the second one wasn't too
the
bad.
second one was good. I like this one even better than the second one. So it's almost like a series that keeps getting better for me, which is pretty surprising. It's funny that this whole decade, everyone's trying to make universes like Marvel. I feel like the only people that pulled it off was The Conjuring. Like the Conjuring universe was the only one that was
Yeah.
actually pretty successful. I mean, some have not been great, but they still keep making money. It's the funny thing.
Yeah, I've never seen The Nun, but I've heard it was not
Oh.
good and pretty damn boring.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was so disappointed in The Nun because The Nun scared the crap out of me in Conjuring 2. And then they
Oh yeah.
proceeded to pretty much make her not scary and very as a boring movie. So
Oh
yeah, that was disappointing.
well, you've intrigued me. Maybe I'll go see if Annabelle's available at a Redbox.
I think we both have lots of stuff to catch up on. I think. Did you want to do a quick like just last thing, a recap our picks? Did you like run through to say them like in order? Or...
I think we're all right.
But yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, but I thought just like once again a great year for movies. I thought so.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to what's ahead.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right, man. Well, thank you for sitting here for almost 3 hours with me.
oh yeah, no problem. I kind of felt like we could go on like 3 more hours, honestly.
Yeah, I know. I knew this was going to be a long one, so but hey, it makes up for hopefully it makes up for my inconsistent posting of episodes and recording of episodes and all that.
Oh,
But
I like
you know.
I like longer podcasts. I don't know if everybody, but like when I see a podcast list too, it's like yeah, like they're kind of inconsistent at a time, and like every week it's different. But if it's like a longer episode, I'm like yeah, like nice. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
It's a 2 hour plus. I'm kind of surprised we got done under 3 hours. So good for us.
I know.
So yeah,
All right, man. Well, I'm sure you'll be back. Shoot, who knows what else the movies we'll be talking about, but I'm sure you'll be back pretty damn soon.
I hope so. Yeah, we'll figure something out. So
Okay. Sounds good, man. Thank you again.
good talking, man. See ya.
See ya.